Roll call, please.
Tim O'Connell.
Here.
Sharon Kelly.
Here.
Tracy LeBlanc. Here. Doug Rowdy.
Here.
Pam Garvey.
Here.
And Justin Wood.
He said he wasn't gonna be here, didn't he? Okay. Approval of the agenda.
Make motion, we approve the agenda.
Okay, I'll second it. Oh, sorry, Doug.
Second, all right. Anybody see any changes or anything? There's no public hearing, so we can keep moving pretty good. Okay. All those in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The minutes were in here from our December 3rd meeting. Did anybody see anything to change or, I'll entertain a motion to approve them?
Make a motion.
Please.
I'll second.
There you are, Pam. Hearing no changes, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public comment. Come on up, state your name. I know it, but I won't say it.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Wright, Town of Osceola. I served on the board when the Kramer application came before us in 2008 through 2010 or so. Last time we were asked our opinion on that, and we ended up spending a lot of time, a lot of work, a fair amount of money to evaluate the various reports that were submitted in support of that application. And I guess with the current application, I have concerns about the reports that are going to be submitted being inadequate. For example, the noise report just says they need to submit it. What does that mean? And they just say it's going to be great, and they can argue. All you wanted was a report. You can say what kind of a report. So it's important that those reports are substantial and are adequately and objectively reviewed by the county, or they are accepted as one of the conditions. The staff does not have the expertise to evaluate some of these reports. And I really encourage you to provide them with the resources to hire out outside expertise to look at these reports adequately. And I see your mission and vision statements up there, and really it goes to protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the residents, that these reports are adequate and that the applicant is held to the standards that are required. Really, it's a cost-effective investment, and there's money to make sure that these reports are adequate and done right and are objectively evaluated. Because if they're not, and folks have concern, the county's probably going to get sued again. So to make sure to hold the applicant to providing substantial reports and having objective reviews of those reports and not accepting them if they're not adequate, I think is in the best interest of the county as far as taxpayers go. And it is also kind of an obligation that I feel the county has to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents. So I encourage you to provide staff with adequate resources to be able to evaluate the reports related to these conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no other. Mr. Hall, do you have anything for public comment? All right. Thank you, Bob.
Yes.
We're already to the forestry update.
All right. You pass those. Happy New Year. All right, I usually come first week of January, just with an update for forestry, what's going on and what we might have coming up in the next couple months. It'll be brief, and then we'll jump into our next topic too. So recently, November, we did have a DNR internal audit pretty well. Jim should be getting the the report relatively soon, but they essentially audited our finances and we were good to go. So still waiting on some other third-party certification approvals, but I think we're good to go there. We finished at the end of the calendar year with, and I guess January, 7 different timber sales still on the books, with rough estimate value of $578,000 and some change. So that's still sales that are under contract for a total 549 acres. So we just had one start up Monday. So things should be moving along. Hopefully it stays cold for us. We're gonna have 8 timber sales coming up this spring to sell. So looking at tentatively in April for approvals of those timber sales. I'd probably come in March on the timber sales itself with different maps and just kind of a discussion on the timber sales if there was questions on them. We have delayed them in the past based on weather conditions, maybe a month based on how much snow there is for our purchasers to be able to go out and look at the sales. So we did the grants that you guys authorized me to apply for roller chopping. I did receive that. We got $15,000 to do. I'm going to do 107 acres of roller chopping, and we're looking at maybe the next 2 weeks that'll be done. So I can spend that money at any point, and it's 100% reimbursable. So so that was good. That's kind of all I have for an update, unless you can think of anything, Paul. We're still working on the last sale that we're going to be selling this spring, but as soon as that's done, our new set of timber sales that we'll sell in 2027, we'll be moving into those shortly. So that's it for the forestry update. And then we'll move over. Yeah, we can. Item 8, 2.
I just
Yep.
have one quick
Yeah,
question.
if you have questions.
So the percentage of payment, is that based on the contract that was made with the vendor on the, I'm just curious, and maybe and I apologize if we've discussed this before, but you know, there's a pretty wide variance in percentage of payment. So is that, or is
Yeah.
that the percentage they're getting paid now? I mean, kind of explain that column a little bit.
Yeah, so the acres you're saying,
Nope, the
or the percents?
I'm assuming the percent,
Yeah.
oh, so the percent is the
Percent.
percent of acres of the total amount. Oh, my apologies.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking of percent of
Yeah.
payment, so I was like, huh, how does that work? But okay, sorry, thank you.
No, you're good. Yeah, and we were going into that topic next, and I was gonna explain that too, but
Okay, sorry, I got
the
ahead.
percent based on
Total number.
the total number of acres within that township.
Perfect.
Yeah, are we good to move?
Yes.
To the
Yes, move into it.
town, okay,
Yes.
town payments. So yeah, so reiterating off that, we now have 17,223 acres of county forest enrolled land. So there was some adjustments in acres based on our acquisitions this last year. So there was a little bit more added to Lorraine, and then McKinley had a couple acres that got added as well. So yeah, so the 30%, we elect state statute, we give 10%, or state statute is 10% of all gross timber receipts in a year shall be paid back to the towns in which they lie, on the county forests. And we elected in mid 1985, there was a resolution that passed that the county was going to elect to pay 30%. So this 30%, the $47,080 total, is based on the total gross stumpage, which you can see in the bottom left Excel sheet there, was derived off the 156,000 and some change. So that was the total timber sale revenue that came in gross. And then it gets distributed based on percent of acres. This was sent, I got that submitted last week. I'm not sure if the checks are on their way. They might be this week. And there's a letter explaining why they got this, and et cetera. So each vendor or each township that gets this payment gets that with the check. Kind of had a running tally. I did this last year too. I added another year because we're on a different calendar year, but you can see the 2016 to 2025. We've paid over almost $600,000 in the last 10 years to the towns based on gross revenue receipts. And then just the estimated total value, 1.92 million and some change. I just kept it simple, just did some backward math of that, so. That's roughly what the total gross income that we brought in since 2016, so. Yeah, so that's about it, unless there's any questions on those. But the town should be getting their checks soon, so.
Good work.
About that new deal in Hayward, is that gonna help price go up, do you think, if that goes through?
Well, hopefully, yeah, there was some weird stuff that came out with like the descriptions of what products they're even gonna take. We pulled that at least out of the news articles is like top wood or different types of materials, but the amount of biomass that they were looking to do to make that aviation fuel, it couldn't be, I don't know how it wouldn't be done without having round wood chipped.
Does everyone know what he's
So-
talking about?
No.
Yeah, we'll go back. So there's an aviation, yeah, sorry. Kim does, obviously. So there's an aviation fuel plant that's looking at coming to Hayward, that essentially uses wood products to extract the fuel. It's obviously a big topic in the timber industry side of things for the amount of biomass that they can consume to be able to make the aviation fuel. It's not the end product fuel, I don't believe. They have to still send it to Minneapolis fuel plant that mixes with whatever they're making. So they're extracting the ethanol essentially out of it. And I think they were looking at doing 1 million tons a year. So in terms of the Northwoods, it would be pretty lucrative for having a place to bring more biomass. To bring prices up, that's tough because there's already, it feels like we have too much pulp product to get rid of. So they're almost might be just slurping up the byproduct that we can't get rid of already.
Can't get rid of already, sure.
So that's kind of what their niche was gonna be, right? Of low quality pulp products or stuff that's not selling, that they would have a place for that amount of biomass to consume. At the end of the day, it still helps. If we can move it, that's great. So, but I know there's state legislation and money getting dumped and advertised from different states that are trying to headhunt that company.
Yeah.
So Michigan, Minnesota, they want them too. So depends on how much our legislators give them for tax incentives and grant money. I think they were already gonna give them money out of the forestry SAG account. So we incentivize big business, obviously, to stay up north, so, or anywhere in the state. So I don't know.
It'll
A
raise it.
year ago, I think it was like 3/4 chance it was coming to Wisconsin, and recently I heard 50-50. But
Sure.
they have the infrastructure in Hayward, I think, to
Support it.
and they have a chip mill, I believe, there too, so
Yep.
they could work with the chip mill that's already there to help supply them. So we can only hope, but you mean, even since 2020, just with the big pulp market, the Verso mill going down, you can even see in the town payments how things really dipped in 2020, 21. Now we're starting to trickle a little back. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of uncertainty in the timber industry for sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That's it. Anything else?
All right. We're good.
All right. See you in a couple months probably.
Thanks.
Friends.
Oh, so I was nervous. You got one, good. All right. Let's start with the subdivision review a little bit then. First question though. I got 3 copies. What has changed? From,
I don't.
For all of them.
I don't think we have any
You don't
copies
have
for
the
subdivision.
oh, we're gonna get just a new one. So we got one new one on the next stuff.
Subdivision?
We don't
You got
have.
shoreline there.
We got
That's shoreline,
That's
Kim.
all
That's
we've
all
got.
shoreline.
Here's the subdivision.
Okay.
So we went through it back a while ago whenever that was. And so a lot of it has been discussed. There's been some stuff that has came up. Meantime, I do have it to pull up as well. Claire could pull that up.
Came up from where? You said there's been some stuff that came up from where?
Just discussions with Ed, the surveyor, things like when subdivisions come through and areas that aren't clear or areas that we feel need to be added to the ordinance. Since the
But all internal to here, to our groups.
I think we went through it first, didn't we?
Yep, yeah, so
I mean, this isn't more stuff from the DNR.
no, this is the subdivision ordinance, so this is completely outside. The DNR doesn't review the subdivision ordinance.
Yeah.
This is the county subdivision ordinance that we will be looking at. There's stuff in green. I tried to bold it so it pulls out better. That was the stuff that we had already discussed back prior. And then the things in red are what has been new that you guys have not been brought up to speed on, or what we would be proposing to change. So if we go to page 2, first part, so we do allow flag lots, which is where somebody uses a small strip to get back to the larger portion of the lot. So that flag pole goes to the public road or however they're accessing that. We've never had a minimum width on that. And people have asked us a lot, how wide does this have to be for us to get back there? So I did look around. I think St. Croix County had 16 feet. I talked to Ed about it. He said he thinks it'd make more sense to do 16 and a half because that's one rod. So it'd make more sense when they're surveying to be able to do one rod wide to get back. So their access back to their property would have to be at least 16 and a half feet in width. We already had the 100 feet in length on there. So the width is the part that would be changing to have a minimum on that. Because technically we didn't have anything. So I mean, if somebody wanted to do a, 6 foot and say they're just gonna walk back there, that doesn't really work well for if it's a buildable lot in the back and you can't really access it via driveway.
So you just said minimum. Should that word be in there? Because right now it's stating it will be 16 and a half feet,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
It could be bigger.
Yeah, so
So
that,
do we
could
need to
go
add the
20
word
if you
minimum
want.
then? I don't know. I'm just saying that,
oh, that's
it will be, that's it.
correct.
That's minimum.
Yep, so it has to be at least greater than 100 feet in length and a minimum of 16 feet.
Yeah.
16.
It has to be greater than 100 feet in length. I mean, it has to be, it can't be,
Yep, so I guess I'm not entirely sure when that was put in, the reasoning. I'm guessing it's, if you're only gonna go 20 feet in, they just want that to be part of the lot. So it's only meant to be when you have to go a long ways back to a lot that's not on the road or frontage on the road. So I don't know when that number and why, or, how it was formulated, but that's been in there ever since, I guess I've been here, but.
But there's a lot of that are 20, I know. The townships ask for 20 sometimes.
Width, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Sure.
because then it goes back to a 40 and all of a sudden there's 3 more lots back there.
Sure.
So they want 20 feet for a road. So
Yeah, and that's where
So that's where if we get a minimum,
yeah, so during the subdivision process, if the town, looked at that as being a town road in the future, they might say they want it to be
20 feet or something.
wider, yeah, to be able to account for that,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
This would be more of like if somebody's just gonna do an easement back to a lot, they'd at least have to make that easement 16 and a half feet wide, so it's essentially usable to get back there.
It's for utilities and everything. They always forget about that. You gotta get phone, gas, power, all your stuff back there.
Mhm.
So
Any other questions on that specific?
that looks good, I think.
The next definition, we ran into some issues, is the net project area. So we require 30,000 square feet of net project area on a buildable lot. Everything in white is existing. The red is what we are proposing to add. So it's never been in there to have shoreline setbacks or other applicable structure setbacks as a part of that net project area. So there's more and more unique subdivisions coming through where a lot of that net project area that they're accounting for is within a shoreline setback. which doesn't make sense because they wouldn't be able to build there anyways because it's within 75 feet. So we feel like adding these setbacks is gonna make a future lot more buildable, even though technically now without it in there, they could meet that net project area, but it might leave them a 2,000 square foot area of actual space beyond the 75 feet. It seems pretty straightforward, like it should have been in there. I looked at least St. Croix County, they have it in theirs. So I think it makes sense because I don't know if you were gonna sell somebody a lot and then they, well, where's my buildable area? And it's all within an area that's not buildable. It just doesn't make sense. But, and then also added in there, which we ran into recently, is added these areas must be connected by a strip of land at least 16.5 feet in width. So we kept that width the same. It doesn't have to be. But this is where with the slopes, wetlands and everything, if there's like a 4-foot strip back to another area that meets the net project area, it really doesn't help them because if you can't do anything in that 4-foot strip because it's not, you can't get a driveway through there because the setbacks would be encroaching in that area. So this is saying in order for you to include another back area in that net project calculation, you have to at least have a certain width to get through to that net project area. Because if it's like a 4-foot section, is it really net project area if you can't even get to it to build on? I mean, I would say no, it's not. So this is, because before it just says contiguous, I think. Maybe it didn't even have contiguous in there, but
Didn't have it, because a lot of them say the net, and then it says with or without right of ways too, some of them. For square footage.
yeah,
At least this tells you it's all the backup stuff, which makes sense.
any questions on that?
So a net project area you said is 30,000 square feet
Yep.
for a minimum, because this is for a subdivision.
Subdividing land, yes.
Right. Is there a need to have that number in this description as far as means or is that just complicating it?
Yeah, I think it'd be better to keep it down where it requires the specific amount.
Okay.
And then when someone says, well, what is net project area? They would come up to this definition and be, okay, this is
Okay.
what I can and can't include in that definition or in that calculation.
Is the county 1 acre?
It is 1 acre.
And that's 45,000,
Mhm.
so
And I was a little
that's
concerned.
some room for
Right.
the setbacks.
For the setbacks
stuff.
and everything. Sure.
Yeah,
I was a little concerned about, because we reduced that on public sewer down to 20,000. So I was like, oh, I wanted to make sure it was accounted for, because if you require 30,000 and the lot only has to be 20,000, that doesn't make much sense. But we'll get to that section where it says,
sewer on.
I think, yeah, it says that those lots are not, they don't have to meet the 30,000 square feet.
Sure.
I didn't put any changes in the next one, which is for outlot. After doing some review, I think it's more of a internal interpretation of the definition. So I did bring this up at our kind of regional meeting with the West Central District. A lot of people were like, yeah, we don't allow, garages or anything on outlots. The way our definition reads, we have been allowing garages on outlots. Based on that last sentence that says an outlot may not be developed for any use or structure that requires a private on-site wastewater treatment system. But I think we have to put more focus up on no development other than what is intended, or no development is intended other than which is accessory to the open space use. So I think that's probably where the other counties are using or interpreting that to say a garage is more of an accessory to a dwelling, not accessory to an open space use. Some of the areas where it gets a little bit gray again is if you have an outlot that was developed for just hunting land or something, and someone wants a shed there, to put whatever they need for that hunting land in there. I mean, then you get kind of down that rabbit hole of a accessory building in that area. When I searched it, it was said the whole accessory to the open space use is more like these outlots are parks or areas like that. So a gazebo in the park or a playground, structures like that in an outlot. So I just wanted to bring that up. Something we've been,
So outlots have also been used for lot line adjustments. They call them outlots. But if they are adjoining a parcel, I guess I'm struggling why we want to, if they've been used for because of GIS and lot line adjustments, if they're connected to a private parcel, why do we want to limit their use if the ownership is the same? Or does then the owner, for clarification or for ease, do they actually need to merge those parcels, and is that allowed?
yeah, so if they have an outlot next to their lot, they could combine those together and then they'd all be considered that buildable lot. When an outlot is created, it's because it doesn't meet the lot size or dimensions of the
Right.
ordinance for a buildable lot.
Right.
So anytime that happens, it just goes into that outlot category, which then isn't intended for those other uses. But yeah, you're correct, where if somebody's like, well, I want to use that for whatever, they could attach it onto that. In an area where it's an outlot all by itself, or if that person sells it for
Right.
whatever reason, somebody wants it, then it would still prevent that.
Right, it would not be a buildable.
Yeah, correct.
So a lot of these are on the back road that I'm doing a couple of those on, like Deer Lake, it's across the road.
Uh-huh.
And they bought across the road
Got it.
and it's an outlot. So they're building a bigger house. Now they don't have room for a sewer. So now we're gonna put the sewer on the outlot.
Across the road?
Yeah, underneath it. You go
Yep,
across.
or under, yep.
So that it gets used for that. But a lot of around the lakes, the back lots are all outlots.
Okay.
Yep. And that's where,
Reason they kind of protected them so nobody could build, if you did sell it, you can't put a house on it
Right.
behind
sure.
your own. So I think that was some of it too. So I'm not positive how that all ended up, but
Right. So
But a lot of them-
is this preventing them from putting sewers on?
no.
no, so it is unique how it says you can't have a structure that requires a sewer on that. So that's saying like a bunkhouse or something that has
Okay.
sleeping quarters, but it doesn't prevent a sewer from being used on.
There's
that.
quite a few sewers out on outlots around the lakes.
I'm just saying, does this change that possibility is all I'm saying?
And I think we had one that we redid on what, Bear Trap or whatever, had some outlots. If you remember, we did a couple of changes there where we put a garage
Yep.
on the guy's outlot. Because a lot of the outlots are weird shaped
Mhm.
or don't have access to a road, and things like that. So that's how they get used.
When we were processing a lot of major developments back in 2000s, outlots really were just like the waste property that the developer could not find a viable use for, or in some cases where they would place,
Storm
right-of-ways or easements or sewer easements.
Storm ponds and stuff would be
Yeah.
considered an outlot.
Oh, in a subdivision, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So then that would be an outlot. So it can't be,
Yeah.
I think we had one where we tried to sell the one in St. Croix Falls.
So now as parcelization happens and things are becoming more developed, developers are looking at some of those outlots as maybe potential uses. And so I think the office is just trying to make sure we have it right as far as moving forward, what they can and can't.
Yeah, because we've had like on Bear Trap or Wapple, where those people that own on the lake buy across the road and get it subdivided at just a small size to put a garage on. Whereas I don't know if that was actually the intent of an outlot, because it probably should be required to be a buildable lot over there as well, because everything else is supposed to be. And that's the feedback I got from the other counties when I asked, but I wasn't sure if we needed to change the definition. Those other counties that are enforcing it that way have pretty much the same definition as us, so then I thought maybe we don't have to change the
But
definition.
this is new language.
No, this is exactly what's in our ordinance,
Why is it red?
just because I wanted to make sure I didn't,
That we seen that.
Oh, okay.
That was.
I didn't bold it, but yeah, I didn't,
Oh, got it.
I just didn't want to overlook that part.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good on that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Everyone, yeah.
The next is Ed had wanted, to differentiate between a state subdivision plat and a county subdivision plat. Because there is different requirements for when something has to be sent to the state or when it's just reviewed here at the county. So we do have those broken down here, which the state requires when there's a division that creates 5 or more parcels that are 1.5 acres each or less. If somebody's gonna do that 5 or more and they're greater than that, it just becomes a county plat instead of a state subdivision. So nothing changes. It's just when someone's reading our ordinance, it's gonna give them a better idea of that they don't have to go through the state subdivision review if it's greater than 1.5 acres. And that's all straight from chapter 236 of the statute, so that's nothing we determined on size or anything.
No, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much, yeah.
Yes, or no, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. The next thing, there is a green portion that we had already added.
On page 4, yeah.
Yeah, any document which creates a subdivision as defined shall be reviewed by the county prior to recording. This is more of just, so it's in there, so someone doesn't try, or, I mean, so if they do try to record something without reviewing, it's at least in our ordinance stating that it needs to be reviewed. The next section under exemptions, the last time, if you could scroll up just a little bit, we just added the 236 language there, statute there. And then,
We got cemeteries in there,
yeah,
huh? Okay.
so then this next part is also in conjunction with the survey required section. So what we did is, trying to think of the best way to go through this. Maybe let's scroll down to the survey required, what was in there or is in there currently. If you could scroll down a little bit further to the next chapter. Okay. So this is what we had discussed before. We did a little bit of changes, adding some language to clarify that the remnant parcel needs to be part of the CSM. But what was unique is that this title was survey required, and then in it, we had a survey is not required for a certain thing. So we're gonna move that up to exemptions. So then when you go through exemptions, you know what's exempt from needing a survey and what's not. So if we scroll down a little bit further even, all of this information that's in here is still here. It's just got moved. Some of it got moved up to be with the exemptions. The stuff that doesn't deal with exemptions like this, that's remaining in white, is still pertinent to the survey required. So that's just gonna stay there. All of it is get a different letter number. So if we could scroll back up,
Then it goes back to,
we created an additional section because the first section states the following subdivisions are exempt from those chapters, and that exempts those from fees and everything, which these other things aren't exempt from fees. So we had to break it out separately. So that's where it says the following are exempt from a survey. It goes into the explanation that we've already reviewed. The first one is the sale and exchange of parcels of abutting land. As long as they're not reduced below the minimum size required by chapter. However, the legal description and preliminary deed of the contemplated sale or exchange of real estate under this exemption shall be reviewed through the completion of a Polk County subdivision application. An approved application and associated fee are required prior to the document being recorded with the Register of Deeds. The legal description or preliminary deed shall clearly indicate the parcel to which it is to be attached and the following statement on the deed, land contract, or other document of ownership, or as an attachment to the document. So starting with the and, that's when I looped in what was already underneath survey required to state that they need to have that language which I can read. The above described parcel is adjoining to and intended to be considered as a single parcel with parcel number, whatever that parcel number may be, and then which is not to be conveyed or used as an independent parcel. So nothing, no change in language, just moved it up there. And then we put in when you're splitting your 40 in half, we don't require a survey for that. So I moved that in to number 2 under things that do not require a survey. And then changed just the lettering on those 2 below that, C and D, that are remaining the same, but just got kicked down a little bit. Any questions on that? So it was just trying to rearrange for clarity when somebody's trying to review it.
Okay, read it, yeah, so it looks good that way. I think,
Yeah.
anybody else, I think it moved right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We got the half one in there, yeah.
Mhm.
Then not until,
So we should put that would be a new parcel number on there, and then people try to use this. They have to get a new parcel number when they combine them.
The thing is.
not
this isn't-
necessarily.
Isn't combining them. This
Yeah,
isn't
when
combining
you-
the parcels,
when
it's
you-
attaching the parcels.
Yeah, but then but you're taking one parcel number disappears, so a lot of times you get a new parcel number there.
No,
Why would a parcel number
not gonna
disappear if you're
disappear.
not combining?
Well, the reason you combine them is, say it's 2 50-foot lots and you want to put a house, you can't.
Yeah,
right.
You're on a lot line.
Right.
So you combine it. But now you have 2 parcel numbers for that one lot.
well, you still have to, well, I guess,
No,
you still have
to get
parcel
to one.
numbers.
No, yeah, it goes to 1 when you
Goes to
combine,
Okay,
Okay.
but usually I think
they leave
It
one of
would,
the
it
numbers
would be
there.
referenced
what they
somewhere.
do is they try to take the parcel number that has buildings connected to it, so that doesn't change. So all the permits and everything are
Stay
on
the
the
same.
same parcel.
Okay.
So that's what they try to do. Sometimes there's buildings on both. So then what we have to do is just go through, it becomes an inactive parcel report that comes through that says all these permits are now not on a parcel. So then we have to move them over, and then that's how it
If you want to
Got it.
search them.
look for that parcel and you
You
put the
couldn't
parcel
find-
number in,
yeah.
it shouldn't come
Got
up.
it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, because I looked.
Yep.
Parcel numbers up.
Sure.
And they're
Then they're
gone.
gone.
They're gone.
Disappeared. Poof.
It doesn't exist because I'm looking at a house. Whoa, no
Got it.
taxes on this house. That's a pretty good deal.
Not on the map.
Not on the map.
All right, the next one's on page 16. Again, this was brought up in the form of a question from a surveyor, wondering if the road and highway right of ways are included when we say the minimum lot size is an acre. Ed and I both felt that should not be included because that's not part of, really much of the usable lot. So we did include underneath the minimum lot size section here that road and highway rights of way shall not be included in the minimum lot size calculation. And then below that, we had, if a town has not adopted county zoning, the residential or shoreland area dimensions apply. But because we took out that shoreland section with the lake classes, I took out that or shoreland if applicable, as we don't have anything in there anymore that states shoreland lot size requirements. So it's just the same. So is there any questions on that?
That's a lot of the CSMs have that.
Yeah, they've
have
always told you what it is,
out, yeah.
but they've always wondered, well, can we use that as a part of our acre? When we have a minimum of 1 acre, is that
Yeah.
part of it? And we just have to say it, but
Yeah.
it's like, no, the intent is likely that the 1 acre is your actual usable lot, not
Not the right of way.
a quarter of it in right away or whatever. Yeah, not a quarter, but
They get more,
whatever
they
it
get
may be.
more lots than a 40 if you can use that.
yeah.
Jeez.
This table is what we discussed back last year. So this was the changing a public sewer only needs a 20,000 square foot lot. That's also in the shoreland ordinance minimum. And then without a public sewer, we still require the 1 acre minimum. And that's just in the residential area. Change that. These other ones were already in there for public sewers. So that, I think it was brought up during those other meetings, like around WAPO, they're residential all around that. They're on public sewer. Our ordinance currently, our current ordinance has it where it says both of it, where you got 20,000 and it also has an acre, so it's always been conflicting, so. That's why we did that back last year. I don't know if there's any other discussion on that. We could,
Do we add, I see on the next scale, it says 1 acre minimum. Do we do that on this one too? That's a minimum, not that it has to be. You see where the next, it says residential ag 5, 1 acre minimum. Okay. Should we have up here in our public, or the one we're looking at right now, should that be 1 acre minimum
yeah, I mean, I think you could probably even,
or not? Or should we not just?
because it says right above the table that minimum lot size and dimensions, so I don't know exactly why I think they maybe included it down here because it's also alongside the density standards. So they want to
Yeah.
make sure you're not confusing that, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt anything to put it in there, but.
I'm just saying it says, I look at the visual first, and then I read something on the side. So you don't see it as easy.
Pictures first, don't you? Come on, Kim.
I mean, I seen it in one and not the other.
Yeah, so do you want to add it
I
to
think we should just put it in those 3, 4 right there.
residential?
I mean, even
So
though,
it's
like you said, it says it above it,
Either take it out.
Right,
Or
either take
put
it
it
out
in.
of both
Yeah.
of them or put it in, so it's
Okay.
consistent.
but I would leave that up there and then put it in that one too. Then it
And-
jumps out faster.
Okay.
Because if you look just at the picture there, you're gonna think, God, I got 1 acre, I got 2. How does that work?
I mean, so do you want it behind all these two then?
Yeah, but these are all minimums. Yeah, I would say put it behind those 2. I think it would just jump out better than these are the minimum.
Or just make that minimum lot size and dimension
Bigger.
bold and bigger.
Yeah,
Either way.
go that way.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Make that a better heading or something centered on it and darken it up and put it all in caps or something.
center it
Either
over.
way, yeah,
Yeah,
that would cover both of them too, or the
Yeah.
whole page, wouldn't it?
that would cover the whole page, yeah.
Yeah. Just whatever you think is easiest.
Okay,
But just to get it so it jumps out a little better, because I looked at that, and then you kind of go to the next one, it says minimum, but the first one doesn't, but it does cover itself. Any other questions on those? Okay.
then the next table was the shoreline table that we removed completely. That'll be the minimum lot size based off of that table above it, off either the zoning district or the public and private sewer.
Sure.
And then we had already discussed this, so, I mean, technically kind of in green, but I also wanted to bring it up again just because as I was going through it, that minimum soil loading rate of 0.5 or greater. It's obviously in there to have these lots allow a system rather than a holding tank. We do allow holding tanks in the county, but I'm not so sure. I don't know if it should be taken out, like our subdivisions, do we want them? The whole subdivision could be set up for holding tanks, which I don't know if that's the best interest of, that lot, but I just wanted to bring that up before completely striking it. So leaving it in there, you would, during a subdivision, you would require that those lots are adequate for a actual drain field system rather than a holding tank. If you remove it, then the lot just has to meet the 30,000 square feet, and you may have a subdivision in an area if that's all holding tanks will only be able to be used in that area. So is that land?
So you'd have to have a soil test ahead of time, and that's to prove that.
Yeah, and that's,
Soil borings, and most of the people do that on a subdivision. And the sellability of just holding tanks is hard, unless you're on a lake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's buyer beware. And St. Croix County just went they struck that because now you can put holding tanks in. So I don't know if you can even leave that in there and then say you have holding tanks. Because I could still divide the land,
Right.
no matter what, and put if it's a holding tank or whatever, and it, you know, because it doesn't say there's experimental systems, all this other crap. I think we wanna,
Yeah, it would just be for the,
more buyer beware.
yeah, and I think holding tanks, it seems like at least that they were allowed countywide for existing lots that are in areas or areas that have already used their
They're too,
drain field area. Now there's no area left, so yes, you can do a
Yeah.
holding tank. I just wasn't sure if it was in the best interest to be creating a whole subdivision that's gonna be on holding tanks, but I mean, it's allowed, but I don't know if
it's
it's
tough set.
best value of the subdivision, but.
I mean, the lot value drops quite a bit when it's a holding tank, even a house.
Mhm.
Because of what septic systems cost.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes it's cost effective to have just a holding tank.
yeah, sometimes. But that's why that was kind of taken out. But I mean, to say you have to have a 0.5 or whatever, I can put a bound on 0.2, so then I can't even put a bound in.
Well, and you're also, this language also say you can make them smaller, which I don't know if I think we complicate things by saying, well, if it's this, then it can be this, if it's that.
Yeah.
Let's keep it, I mean, my personal opinion, the project area is 30,000 square feet. We've already addressed the fact of setbacks and everything else. Leave it at 30,000, let them figure it out. I mean, they still are gonna have, if they're gonna sell it as a buildable lot, they still have to have soil test. It has to get perked,
Yep.
it has to get whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have to get, or you're saying to leave it in there? or-
No, I'm saying drop off the 20, like it's struck, leave it struck, like you have it.
So then it wouldn't, yeah, they wouldn't be required to do a soil test for.
Ahead of time, because it's not like in St. Croix, we're doing 2 on every lot.
Yeah, and this language is currently in our ordinance. I just want to be clear on that. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, just so everyone knew that it wasn't an addition that got removed. It's currently in there, so I just wanted to.
And most people buying land look at that ahead of time. Because to make it sellable, I mean, they really look at that.
Yeah.
Even in the city limits, we dig test holes everywhere to see what's there.
Yeah, majority of the people don't want a holding tank,
Yeah,
both resale and if you're planning on staying there a while, it's definitely not going to be cost effective route.
yeah.
I think that's
It.
the last portion.
That's it. That's fine.
22, yeah, so 22 had, or 21 and 22, we had, changed the committee reviewing a variance for a subdivision
yeah.
to the Board of Adjustment.
Yep.
That one is still a little bit back and forth. But because if I see why it was in there, the committee now, because if somebody comes through the subdivision process, it's you guys reviewing it. So then if they're asking at that time for a variance to something that we require on their overall subdivision, it would be weird to come here for the subdivision review, also have to go to BOA to get the reduction or, you know, some variance to that subdivision. Where I initially proposed it was someone that's just saying, hey, I don't have enough acreage to meet the minimum lot size. And it's more for a minor subdivision rather than a major, you know, someone that's just making 2 lots or 3 lots. And for some reason they can't meet the minimum lot size. I think that's where we were like, well, that seems a little weird to come to the committee for that, where it seems like a simple ask for relief, which would be the BOA. So I don't know the best thought on that, or if Corp Council and I want to discuss it.
I think we have to do it that way, don't we? We as a committee can't do variances. If we read our rules of order,
Right.
I mean, we're,
It's.
if you do it
more-
within the
more
rules, we
appropriate.
can do it.
It's more appropriate.
Yeah. So I think we should leave that back in there like that. Even if they have to do twice, because that's just, I think it's in a lot of things that we can't give a variance. We can go by what the rules are. You know, say that one lot's 28,000 square feet buildable. We're bound by the 30.
Yeah.
They'd have to take it there. Yeah, I don't know how that, I don't think we can give conditional use permits. I don't think we can do variances as a committee. The way I read through all this. If that's right, don't you think, or not?
Well, again, regardless, the Board of Adjustment is, in my opinion, the more appropriate place for it to be.
Yeah.
Change
Let's
Board of
leave it
Adjustment.
that way.
You got it.
Then it should be correct as it's currently
Yeah.
struck and revised. Otherwise, I think that's everything for that. Final questions on this? I mean, as far as the subdivision goes, I know there's been some surveyors, property owners waiting for some of these changes to go through. So I don't know, we'll discuss the shoreland here coming up, but as far as the timeline, if this is gonna stay with the shoreland and do the public hearings together, or if this one wants to get moved up, that'd be a discussion at some point to have.
Sure.
Like, after making these changes, what I'll do is when we decide when the public hearing is for this, it'll just be then it'll be the actual red lined with the changes for the, For the public hearing.
Place.
Yeah.
Everything in the right place and do it. I think we're gonna move that one forward. I think with the other one too. So,
Do we need a motion for this to?
no, not
No.
yet.
Okay.
No. Because we're not moving it to the board, public hearing. So we just
Right,
consensus.
so, but I guess my opinion is we handle this and get a public hearing done on this rather than tie it with shoreland, because shoreland is, I believe, is going to take some time.
Yeah.
So just in the matter of
Well,
checking things off, would it not make sense to move this forward and get it scheduled for a public hearing? I guess that's my question.
You could hold the public hearing.
we can, and then I'd like to go through the other one and then maybe do both at the same time.
Oh.
Is what is.
Okay.
Because I think the way that if, are we gonna start the next one? Split it up, okay. So on the shoreline, if you read where her comments are, let's go right into the shoreline one. Go to her last page,
Who was, the
the DNR,
which is
new suggestions.
The suggestions, this one.
So go to her last page, page 6. And that last one, please do not schedule a public hearing on this ordinance till you received it from them, a certification. Well, that's backwards to me. I mean, the rest of you can decide whatever. That means we're gonna go get it certified, bring it back and have a public hearing. The public had no input then.
exactly.
So I'm saying we should have the public hearing on both of these. And then we can send this, because the subdivision one would pass, I would think.
Yes,
After the public hearing, we can move that forward.
yes.
This one we have to send back and forth a couple of times.
Mhm.
But let's have a public hearing on it, so people have public input.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, I don't know why they say it like that, but they do that on these all kinds of different planning places, want to do all the planning and then have a public hearing at the end is backwards to me.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we go through the, start our subdivision one, go through it and set up a public hearing for both.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, and then this one's got to be sent and tied up, whatever, but we can move the subdivision one through then.
Got it. So you're saying if we have the public hearing for both, we can take the comment. If there isn't a lot of comment on subdivision, we can move that forward.
And
And
yes,
then whatever comment, yes or no, make changes, but then this needs to go to the DNR anyways before it comes back to go
Yeah.
forward. Is kind of what.
So
the
that
point
one's
is.
gonna-
So then we follow.
so
Thank
then
you.
the shoreline will be tied up, but the subdivision will be done,
We'll
Done.
be done. Okay.
if that makes sense.
It does. I just was
Okay.
wanting to get this one done. So
Well, I just didn't
whatever
want-
the easiest way to do that. I
Yeah.
agree, Kim. Thank you.
But I didn't want everybody to read that line and say that we're gonna go through this, send it. And say, well, here's a certified copy. You don't have any input. This
Yeah,
didn't make any
no.
sense.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion back and forth on how we are going to handle this, so.
Yeah,
Over the.
but I brought that up too to the staff and everybody before that I didn't think it was right, but I thought I'd ask everybody how they think. And it seems backwards.
For a point of clarity, it seems, it's possible that you're misinterpreting what she's saying, possible. I not gonna speak for her because I don't know what she intended. But my reading of it kind of indicates that she means send it to us so that we can kind of give you a pre-approval, more or less, before you even bring it to public.
But that's what she did already.
Right, I don't. Not saying what you're saying right now is a bad way to move forward. I'm just,
Okay.
point of clarity is all.
Well, my point of clarity, she sent the 6 pages.
Right.
Okay, let's have a public hearing on the 6 pages that she sent us. And then send it to her and see if we make it or not.
Right.
I mean, we send it to her and she says no, and then we have a public hearing and they have 20 changes. It'll take us another year.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, man, can we drag it any slower than this?
Regardless, both resolutions would go forward, so you could do a resolution for the subdivision, you know, to the county board and then,
After the public hearing.
right, and then
This one would go through the
go through
DNR again.
DNR certification.
But I do want, I want people to have a little more input
Sure.
on the shoreline one. Okay,
The DNR stuff.
so we haven't changed much more on that shoreline, have we, since the last time? Or let's go through this one, that was one we got. Are they all still the same?
So
I
one,
have 3 of them. Are they all the same? Yeah.
the one you received last meeting is the same exact as this. That was given as more of a review for you guys.
Okay.
And then as far as for that type, no, I mean, these would be date, last meeting, this meeting, they're both.
2 are the same.
They're the same.
That's when I
So
put it
the
together.
old one, I have one from June. So from the June 4th one, that's the one I marked the hell out of. We've changed. I got a June 4th where you had the green. It's all been updated some with the sidebars.
Yeah, so that's when I highlighted the areas that she,
And then you get it to
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have that one as backup. All right. Okay,
So the one we got today is the same as the one we got last month.
the one that we had marked.
Yes.
Same as December.
All right.
and I don't know how you prefer to go, because this is the one that has the 2 separate. So the first one is our current ordinance showing everything that was removed and where it was moved to. So I mean, is it kind of going to be going back and forth probably is the way to do it, I suppose. To actually see where everything.
Okay.
So this is what it looked like. This is what it is.
Right, because this is moving places.
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification, all the verbiage in both the first and the second of the copies, right? All the verbiage is in essence the same from one side to the other. It's just one side is like, it's been struck and it's been moved over here. Second copy says this is where it's been moved to,
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, some of it doesn't, the first one doesn't have all the language in it because it'll say
right. 'cause
updated
it's-
language to the model
Yep.
ordinance. So then that language changed from that to that, but it should all be, if it language changed, it should be identified that it changed and where it's at. If it moved. So like some of this didn't move, it just was updated to the either the model language or updated to the language that was required by DNR staff.
Okay. So do we want to go through it like that, or I think we've been through it. I mean, we had it marked up. Should we have them print a clean copy out?
Well,
Unless
that's
it's
what
our
we
clean
have.
copy is copy number 2 in today's or even December.
Is it copy number 2 a clean one?
As clean as like with all the updates in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the second one shows. Like if everything was how you guys wanted it, that second copy would be ready for a public,
This one.
just to
Right.
clarify where that second copy's at.
Okay.
So like a lot of the, all the alphanumerics and everything were updated, moved, to look like the current ordinance, but with all the new information. The only thing is the best thing, or the hardest part was the definition, so that's why I indicated that I just bolded them in the clean. Because otherwise it was gonna be weird how, because they weren't before in the old ordinance, if that makes sense. They were up in the general, so I couldn't say they
Okay.
moved because they were never in there.
In there.
Okay, so the definitions are the first, well, 1 through 8, okay. Well, do you think we should just then try to pick it apart again? Let's have a public hearing on it. That's what, then we can go through it line for line and be done.
So we don't want to go through it as a committee, is what you're saying, Kim?
We have, and that's what made our clean copy. Because I can go back, look at all the changes we made and marked up. So we've been through the first part at least twice.
Then if we get a clean copy, we're still gonna go through that so we can make changes if we need to.
So, yes.
The only thing I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that a lot of the changes we haven't necessarily discussed as a committee. They were kind of Logan trying to implement as he's been asking, the DNR like this. I mean, I guess that's last month we started to go through and he's like, well, these are some of the conflicts. And you're like, well, let's dedicate January to discussing this. So I don't feel like we as a committee have said, I mean, I mean,
Okay.
and
Yep.
I can be outvoted. I'm no, that's
No, I
fine if we
agree.
don't want to do that. I just feel like, because Logan has done a ton of work on this and it was such a big beast to try to say, okay, here's what she's saying and here's where it's moving to. And then the reorganization besides, because things needed to be moved so they flowed better. I feel like we finally got one to actually look at as a committee. But correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe we shouldn't make any additional comments. I guess that's up to the committee.
Yeah, from the staff point of view, I would say that's accurate. All the DNR comments once they've been in the actual ordinance, haven't really been discussed at the meeting. So I think you're accurate in saying that. I don't think it's a bad idea to go through it. What I would recommend is honestly ripping it apart so you don't have to flip back and then we could go through it if you want to. You have them both side by side. You can see where it was struck and added right next to each other. There was no really other way to do it. Send it out to have it like that.
Here's a copy of the model too. I got that too, just in case.
Yeah, perfect.
I got one of those too. And
You little help.
Here, rip it.
I think I got how many?
I got it. See, stronger than I thought. There you go.
I got my last one here.
Only I ripped December instead because I got comments of December.
And then also part of the packet was that letter we received that has all these sections identified. So if we get to a spot that you want to follow along with the DNR letter we got, that would also at the end.
That was, that
that's-
was at the
yeah.
end, because we made sure we had that with us so that we knew we weren't just making stuff up. It was there. Well, you want to just go page for page? It's only how many pages?
50.
50 pages. It's only 10 o'clock. That's all
Well,
right.
let's go.
Let's do it. Because now I have I've got all our marks on this one too. So I got from the June 4th when we did the same thing almost, and then it got changed. We were trying to, yep, I have that one all marked too. Okay, I get both. I got all three, yep. Page 1,
Okay.
purpose and intent. How are we doing there? That stayed pretty good, didn't it? Kind of followed the model ordinance. The purpose and intent is what they wanted to push a little.
Oh, the purpose and intent, yeah, that had to be exactly as the model ordinance reads.
Okay.
Per Sue's comment, 42-10 B and C was also updated
There is
per
some
her
C.
comment. C wasn't on.
He was struck.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that was one of their pushes, wasn't it? That she wanted to make sure that purpose and intent was in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, according to the DNR, that's required to be verbatim for everybody in the state, what the purpose and intent of the ordinance is.
Okay.
So that was just updated per that model ordinance, which it's quite, it's long, like it's not that much longer than what was there, but
But it's a little bit, yeah.
does break it out a little bit better, I would say, rather than how we had it before in long paragraphs that just kept going on. It kind of breaks it out into the exact purpose and intent.
That was from our December 3rd discussion. That was on there too. That's the one I'm looking at now,
Oh, yeah.
that we changed that. Okay. Definitions added. Yeah. Okay, so now, and those are the ones you put in bold.
So the bolded ones under the definitions are what are in the model ordinance, and the language has to be exactly the same per the DNR comments. Other one, any definition that's not in the model ordinance is our own definition. So those are, can be changed somewhat. If you change a definition to then not follow the model ordinance again, it's not probably going to be approved when it's reviewed.
Sure.
I don't know how. That's where, just a quick example, even though it's a big topic, the retaining walls, if you say a retaining wall less than 30 inches isn't a retaining wall in your definition, the DNR is going to say that you can't say it.
Yeah, it's an
Just
accessory.
because it's a certain size that it's not that anymore.
Yeah, okay.
So why are we, what is the argument against not having some sort of a definition of a retaining wall? We have it on, part of the Lower St. Croix Riverway protection. Burnett County has a retaining wall definition. I'm just, and I know that we talked about this a little bit, and so I apologize for bringing it back up, but I'm just struggling with why we can't at least say that even the St. Croix Riverway is, a structural erosion control measure means a retaining wall or other man-made structure whose primary function is to control erosion. Even if we added that, even if that definition was there, a structural erosion control measure, even if we added that.
Yeah, we can definitely add a definition. I think the reason it was removed is,
Well, and I don't know if it was ever in Shoreland.
Yeah, it was.
It definitely was part of that Lower St. Croix Riverway piece, but because it's actually in our ordinances right now.
Under accessories. It was under accessory structure, so
It's still.
it was meshed into there to a mess, that anything man-made was in a structure. And that's,
It's listed in accessory structure here.
yeah.
Right, it's listed as an accessory structure, period.
Yeah, so it was listed as that, but then how many things are in the accessory structures?
Right.
They're not, each one isn't broke down. So
Okay.
that's where we'd have to break it down, because that's where. So a detached garage, shed, barn, we'd have to define each one of
Okay,
those
but we do
things.
have definitely have lots of discussion about boathouses in here.
Yep,
So I don't know if the fact that if we throw out a comment about retaining wall, if we have to do all of them because we have boathouse.
That's a
and put it
separate
in
one.
there, and put it in with that, because it falls under accessory structures, so any of those,
To page 2 on this accessory structure.
because is sidewalk separated out to them?
You just got.
For a walkway, detached stairway left.
I'm looking.
Those are under accessory too, but don't they have a certain size and everything?
Nope.
Yeah, sidewalks and stuff, and
as far as like an exemption, yeah, so this is just saying what an accessory structure is. There's areas in the ordinance that state these structures are exempt from
okay,
X, Y, and Z.
but then there's a size on those too, isn't there? Okay.
It doesn't call out sidewalk in definitions.
No, but there's places where you can have like 54 inches,
So flip it.
landing and everything. That's what's confusing, I think.
And I don't necessarily have a dog in the fight. I just know that there's obviously been comment about, there's concern that if we don't have some sort of definition of a retaining wall, does that take away retaining walls?
No, So any word that's in that or any word that's in the ordinance that's not defined in the ordinance, it's my understanding, we can ask Joe, I think that it would be defaulted to, if it went to court, a judge would look it up in the dictionary, I believe. Is that correct?
More or less, it would be the common usage of the word. So what the common understanding is of a retaining wall, which generally would be a wall used to retain earth. So if it's landscaping, it's landscaping, and if it's retaining earth, it's retaining wall. So that's,
What's the difference? That's just
Rock or block.
call it what, I mean, okay, I'm gonna landscape everything. I'm not gonna do my soil erosion plan. That doesn't make sense either.
I think
I mean, so we have to find that, you know, if we just rename soil erosion and call it landscape, we don't need a soil erosion plan for any of the lots. We're just gonna landscape them all. Isn't that terrible when I think like that?
Yes, yes.
I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, how do we? You know,
Right.
it's landscaping,
you run into problems if you
'Cause they
find things that may be contrary to law elsewhere in statutes.
yeah. But I'm just trying to say that, I mean, are we gonna landscape or do soil erosion? If it's soil erosion, but but why would you put those blocks if you're just landscaping? I mean, I guess they do have some examples, if they do some borders or something.
so I think when we put a definition in there way back, last year, and we just used the common dictionary definition of something that holds back earth, I think it was brought up from the contractors that seems like nothing would be allowed.
Right.
So that's where if you have the definition in there, I don't know the best way to say this, but if there's no definition, there may be a little bit more,
Wiggle room.
wiggle room.
Then it could be landscaping.
Well, yeah, but I mean, and my explanation would be, again, when it gets to, if it's ever, challenged by a neighbor or whatever, and someone walks out and goes, that's a nice retaining wall, it's probably a retaining wall. And that's kind of how we would be enforcing it at the zoning, level, is just because you want to out and say, that's my landscaping wall, but it's, however, it's holding back this hill, it's gonna be like, well, you can call it a landscaping wall, but it's also a retaining wall, is kind of where we're coming from, if that makes sense. But if you put the definition in there and you can, then that clarifies, this is what we're using is the common language or whatever we want to deem as common. We can use that in the ordinance. But what I'm trying to say on that flip side is if some of these definitions that were proposed were in here as a definition, the DNR's more than likely going to say no, because they've already had some comments based on retaining walls. If we say a retaining wall is 30 inches or 30 inches or higher is a retaining wall, but there's a 24-inch retaining wall that's retaining the earth, that's where you're going to run into issues, because you're calling something
Right.
just in a definition saying that that's not what it is, but it actually is.
So Burnett County's definition is a retaining wall means a vertical structure or near vertical structure located on the landward side of the ordinary high water mark, typically constructed of rock, stone, concrete, wood, block, or other similar material. These are considered non-habitable accessory structures and have to meet all ordinance requirements.
So it's an accessory structure, see? so
Yeah,
it falls
and
under
have
that.
to meet all, oh, okay, all right. I mean, if I'm barking wrong, I'll stop.
No, but you read it and it said it's an accessory structure,
Yep,
doesn't it?
yep.
Okay, and that's where we have it also. So basically, they just gave examples.
Right.
We just don't have examples in ours, but it's considered an accessory structure. So we're basically the same as them.
Because in their definition, they said nothing about like holding back.
Nope, nothing about holding back earth, just reference the ordinary high water mark and that they have to meet all ordinance requirements.
Chairman,
Yeah,
I apologize for getting lost here, but we've talked about retaining walls over and over. And at the last couple meetings, it was determined that the DNR said you couldn't have retaining walls because we talked about wing walls off of a boathouse and they were not allowed.
without a permit.
No, they just weren't allowed.
No, if you could do it, but you'd have to have a permit for a retaining wall within that 75 feet.
That's the big thing, is a setback. So like these definitions that are proposed from other ordinances, they're not taking into account the shoreline setback. They're saying a retaining wall is this for erosion control. They're not saying it's 10 feet from the water. They're just saying that's what a retaining wall is. It can be used for erosion control, absolutely. The shoreline ordinance or model ordinance is saying retaining wall is an accessory structure. It has to be 75 feet back from the lake. It's not saying you can't have a retaining wall at 80 feet. You could absolutely do a retaining.
That's what I'm understanding, but a boathouse isn't 80 feet, 75 feet.
No, right.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm.
so they would have to
Why
have,
I'm getting mixed up, because
Yeah.
at the last meetings, we said you couldn't have these walls, and I know John Hall in his public comments said you can't have these. So you need to get it defined so that we used to have one rock.
high that you can't have.
Was not a retaining wall, and now the DNR is saying that it is a retaining wall and you can't have it, so
Can't have
I,
it without,
I'm a little lost on.
Right.
so if it's considered an accessory,
75 to, further than 75 and less than 75.
So less than 75 feet is where the ordinance specifically states you can't have any structures except all the ones that are in the exception. A boathouse is in that exception,
Right.
but nowhere in that exception does it say retaining walls are exception. So that's where the confusion comes in. Someone comes in, I want to build a boathouse on a 40% slope, I have to have a retaining wall. The DNR and the shoreline's perspective is, well, you can have the boathouse, but unfortunately, a retaining wall is also a structure that's not exempt. So I mean, in the grand scheme of saying what that permit would be is, you might have to find a different way to do your boathouse if you're saying you have to have a retaining wall with it, because in the ordinance, it's going to say that's not exempt. So if we permit a retaining wall in that area, it's going to be against the ordinance is how it would,
Well,
that's how.
can you get a permit from the DNR to put a retaining wall up?
I don't think they give permits above the ordinary high. I mean, they do
They
like
do
seawall.
Shoreline, they do seawalls.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have a lot of erosion, would they look at that and give you a permit and say, okay? Because we got a lot of lakes with the hills are so steep.
I don't think the DNR would, no. Once it gets above the ordinary high and any of their, I think it's chapter 30 permits, they don't, that's all on zoning and the zoning ordinance.
so is that their way of just saying, too bad you can't have a boathouse? Because a lot of boathouses are built where they need retaining walls.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot.
Same with,
That would be the,
same with the reduced setbacks for setback averaging. I mean, there's people that are, that we have the same, there's the same problem. If you've got a reduced setback because of setback averaging, they see you could build a structure. I mean, I just go back to even when Mr. Strozak came in, he's like, these, and I'm not throwing rocks. I'm just trying to figure this all out. How does this really work?
Yep.
They have a permit to build a house, but obviously there's going to be erosion. So all of a sudden the landscape guy comes in, he's like, what do you want me to do? And now you're saying we've allowed the house at 35 feet or 40 feet or whatever, but now we can't control the erosion. That doesn't make sense to me either.
Or
You know.
need a variance. I mean, yeah, that's,
But we can't,
yeah.
how do we do a variance? Or so exempt is a no-sided structure. Is a retaining wall not a no-sided structure? Retaining wall is a structure.
you're looking at the open,
200 square feet open structure.
No, I'm looking at the model ordinance, number 2, no side, open side, and screened structures. No side, open side, and screened structures. They give such as, but that's not a comprehensive list, provided the following requirements are met. The water that's near to the part of the structure that's nearest the water is located at least 35 feet landward. Total floor area, okay, you're right, it does have the 200, does not exceed 200 square feet.
It's not exceed 200 square
Okay.
feet.
Structure that is subject to the request for special zoning permits has no sides or has open or screen sides. County must approve the plan.
It's the gazebos that they put up.
Okay, but can it not be, I mean, is a retaining wall a no-sided structure? We say a retaining walls is, I don't even, I've just spent way too much time trying to read this to understand. Maybe I'm creating more of a mess, so I apologize.
No,
I agree with
it's still,
Sam.
it's still,
To Sharon's point, like.
you need something there.
We need something,
Yes.
or we just say, you know what, no one builds within 75 feet of the lake. Okay, sorry.
We've
But we
tried.
know right, we know that doesn't work.
That don't.
We know the DNR says, well, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
because you
Sharon's
can tear
point,
your house down,
is
put
it-
it,
Is it their attempt to say on vulnerable sites of, 30% slopes, like you can have a boathouse, but unfortunately in those vulnerable sites, it's not
And
gonna
have
work.
steps to get to it. You can't
Yeah.
let the
Oh, you gotta have
runoff go into
steps.
the lake.
But you can have steps.
Yeah, I don't, I don't know, and it's obviously a battle, you know, staff is just trying to also
So is it,
Right,
work through with
It's
the
something
DNR, with
yeah.
all the slamming coming in,
Yeah.
just trying to get it right as well.
right, and try to find what's consistent that you can lean
So
on,
if it-
absolutely.
if the DNR doesn't control it, can the county say, all right, if it's on 8 or 10% slope, you're gonna need a wing wall on it, okay? Can that be a permitted use that goes with a boathouse? Can you permit a wing wall on a boathouse then?
As
Could
a
you
no-
permit like a retaining wall?
As a no-sided structure,
Well, no, just as even a retaining wall.
according to the DNR.
No, the DNR says they have no control after the high water on this. So they gotta say one thing or the other. He just said that the DNR doesn't do anything above the ordinary high water mark.
They don't issue permits above that,
Okay,
obviously.
so
they
then we
provide-
have to do it.
Right.
Okay, so can we issue a permit to put a wing wall on those?
A wing wall or an open sided or open.
Which would be open on one
structure.
side because it's only, but it's gonna be a retaining wall, which is considered an accessory structure.
And
Can,
that's the big part. Is they're gonna cut out retaining wall from boathouse every time, even if it's used with the boathouse. They're saying retaining wall is identified as an accessory structure and
a boathouse is an accessory structure.
accessory structure. So they're two separate structures. One's exempt from the setback, one's not, is how
Okay.
it's been explained.
All right. God, that was nice of them to really do that. Terrible to everybody. But I mean, with a house, you have to have a storm erosion control plan and stuff, you know, with these steep slopes.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? It's funny.
Yeah.
Um,
You know, if you have a building inspector. Okay,
Or lack thereof.
so how does the DNR do anything on any lakes then? How is it? There's just no control or what? I mean, we gotta think of something here that it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, so the general intent is that 75 feet is your number. I mean, just
Yeah.
given from or from the shoreline ordinance perspective. So yeah,
You put a boathouse in between there, obviously.
yeah.
You should have soil erosion on a boathouse too, same as any other structure.
Yeah, and that's where, if there's ways, is it that the person, how it's constructed? I mean, is it because there's a side, something coming out the boathouse, so now you need a retaining wall to have that flat area? That's where the boathouse is just for your stuff to go to the lake. So I mean, essentially, you could just have an opening on the lakeside to get in and out. Your cap comes back around that. And I mean, I think where the boathouses get into needing a lot of retaining walls is when you have, their entry doors on the sides and stuff like that is where a lot of that problem comes in. Granted, on some of these, if it's extremely steep, yeah, you're probably gonna need something regardless on that. But I think that would be, yeah, the statement from the DNR, if were to ask, or if you were to issue a permit or look at a permit, would be if the boathouse can't be built without a retaining wall, then you can't really have a boathouse in that location without a variance.
Without a variance.
So that's where you'd have to go and prove your hardship to the BOA and say, hey, we have a hardship.
You'd have to
We
put a wing
we
wall.
have to have a retaining wall here. And that would be that's the only relief you have from the ordinance is to apply for a variance. And
Okay.
it would be determined there, is this a hardship that the retaining wall has to be there? Or, is it,
Or bare necessity to
or is it
protect the
just
lake.
something they want? Yeah.
We're trying to protect the lake, so I mean, it's more, I've got to protect the lake if I want one.
Yeah.
But I think that's where it would get into, other experts saying, is this a want to have the retaining wall here? Or is this absolutely required in order to do this? And that would be their argument at BOA saying, we have no other option but to do it this way. But if there's somebody else that can say, well, you can do it this way, it's just not your preferred method, then that's where you're probably gonna not have as strong of an argument at the BOA. But it would all be at the BOA because they'd be looking to put a structure in where there's no exemption for that structure in an area that it's not.
So if we keep track of that, and we got about 80% are gonna be on them steep slopes. And you're going to the BOA for that, that's when you change your rules to fit, so they don't all go to the BOA. It'd be like the tourist rooming house, all had to go there.
Yeah.
Or get conditional use. I mean, if you got repetition of the same thing. I mean, so I wonder why the DNR can't help us out a little bit. Because that's why I said, look at the purpose and intent of the DNR shoreline, to protect the water. Okay, but they let you have a boathouse. We should be able to put the wing walls on to protect the water. I mean, in their own purpose and intent, that's what we're trying to keep, is water quality. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that we're letting a boathouse in, but we're not doing the soil erosion when we do it. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say is
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
to protect any hillside. I mean, some of these, even before they put a boathouse, should have a wall down there to hold back.
I just think that
So,
there's areas where the retaining walls aren't being installed. Yes, they're helping the boathouse, but they're also creating a flat area that was never there down by the lake.
yeah,
Which, whatever you want to call that, but it's like that, then you're changing the natural slope of that shoreline. If a retaining wall were to come in strictly for holding that structure up, I mean, I think that would be where you would try to prove your hardship. But yeah, I mean,
mitigate runoff. That makes sense. I mean, at least we would mitigate more runoff by doing that. You know, with the rain gardens and things. I mean, they could say, okay, I need it on one side of my boathouse. Boom, I'll put a rain garden in down there. You know, so I mean, we're trying to do too many things at once or whatever. I don't know.
Well, that's why I
Go
want to
ahead.
take this one step further, because the question has always come up. Yes, we're talking about boathouses, but let's go further from the boathouse back to 75 feet. Some of the pictures that we have seen over the years, you've got some tremendous slopes and they try and terrace it down. But now technically the DNR says you can't terrace. So is that go to the BOA and get a terrace because you can prove that it's, that's where
Yeah.
I'm not quite understanding
That you can prove it's a mess if you don't do that.
yeah, I mean, how can they just say you cannot have a retaining wall when we know some of the land that we've seen in pictures needed?
They
it would
desperately
need
need it.
some type of terracing
Yeah,
to stop runoff.
just to slow it down or
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, and I think that may be part of a misconception of, so this property has always been sloped that way. So when it rains, that water's always flowed off that hill. It's not, it never, was like this down there. So now you put in a structure up on that hill. If you can capture all that up on that hill before you even get to what was all existing natural ground, nothing changed. So if you put your infiltration pit up by the dwelling, water's going into the ground, anything that still rains on that natural vegetation and goes to the lake, that's how it's been doing it forever. So terracing it in front of your house, I mean, it's really not, I guess I don't know why it would be needed if you're capturing the water from the impervious surface on top of the hill. Slowing that water down is not what the natural overflow of that water was. And I think that's where it gets a little bit, well, we're going to slow the water down even further by terracing it. But it's probably best just to keep it how it's always been rather than trying to alter that steep slope all the way down to the lake.
Well, that's
I
the lake
can't agree.
associations, but like Deer Lake, I mean, they've went to existing houses steep and they've done that and to help the water quality, to slow that runoff, on Deer Lake, didn't they?
Yeah, we had a whole rain runoff system that the University of Minnesota helped design. And it captured all the water from the roof. And then it went in under the ground, the drain spouts went under the ground down to it was like having a septic.
A holding tank.
Yeah, not a holding, it wasn't
Drain
a
field.
holding tank. It was more like a drain field just for the water that was coming off the roof. And it went through these things that looked like milk crates and stuff. I don't know, they designed it all. It was quite the thing, but it helped with the runoff, but it still didn't prevent. We had terracing also in front of the house. Whether it was permanent, I don't know. What else the guy who did it. I'm sure I'm
Probably
assuming he
universal.
did it, but because of the slope going down. And so it was terraced, and then we had the rain runoff system too. But the shoreland wasn't getting re-eroding anymore. It was eroded and then the erosion stopped because we also I didn't plant them, but we had things planted, native species plants down there that,
Vegetative kind of buffer.
yeah, which helped too.
Yeah, and I think that's also a good point is you have erosion that's naturally occurring on lakes and you have erosion that starts occurring because of development.
Yeah.
That's the difference, I think, where probably more apt to save that erosion that's naturally occurring. Whereas if there's other ways to save the unnatural erosion with pits further up, that would be, an option. But
Like I had to get to the dock, we built steps down the bank to go to the dock, and reading this, that probably was illegal.
steps, no, you're allowed a walkway. That's an exempt structure to the lake.
That's good, then it
Yeah,
was
you
legal.
were exempt
I
there.
just had my nephew do
But I
it.
bet you it's too wide.
But the DNR does silly things like when they put our dock in, we got a letter saying, because we had a little island out there. Somebody complained they couldn't take their canoe around that island. So they told us that we couldn't have our dock. And I never responded to the letter and, 5 years later, they never did anything. But then the next little island down, the neighbor built a bridge from the shoreline to the island, right across a big beaver house, and then put a dock out, and the DNR approved it. So I just have the DNR does such craziness stuff. They go back and forth and it's not consistent. How does a person know what they can do and what they can't do? Because they change their minds, and it depends on who comes out and looks at it. And
Politically, it changes a lot
To
too.
make one more comment.
Yep, go ahead.
Well,
Yes.
I'm just, by asking my questions, I'm not disagreeing with you or
Same here.
saying, well, I'm gonna tear something I'm not going to. But when we have public hearing, there's gonna be
Oh, yeah.
contractor after contractor wanting an actual definition of what they can do and can't do. And I think we're being very, I don't know, vague on it.
Vague
You know,
is the
I
word,
guess the
yeah.
only word I could
Same as
think
the DNR. It's too
of. You know,
open.
by saying, well, then if you want to tear us or do this, you're gonna have to go to the Board of Adjustment. Well, how can the Board of Adjustment say it's okay when
We can't. Agreed. Yeah, that was my question. So the Board of Adjustment approves it and then it's okay?
Well,
What?
Board of Adjustment exists to offer relief on our law, on our ordinance, they're there to offer the relief, but I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just stating the fact, but I
Right.
totally understand
They
why.
would need a stormwater management
Following.
plan. They need a soil erosion plan to put a boathouse in, even on slopes. You
On
have to
steep
have,
slope.
or a new house. Even if you tear one down, you have to have a plan, don't you know?
Yep.
To mitigate the square footage.
But yeah, you're supposed to.
So they would need a mitigation plan. And if it has retaining walls and stuff, I think they would have to go to the BOA then.
Yeah, and that's where,
I think
we
that's
would,
where you'd have to do it, because if the DNR won't let us do it, that would be our only relief to get it through then.
yeah, and I think I've seen retaining wall variances from, a ways back.
Sure.
Probably for that reason. I don't know for sure, but, that's where I've worked with Land and Water in Karsten and, asking on certain stuff like, is a retaining wall absolutely needed, or is this just a preference that they want a retaining wall here? Cause I mean, there is a difference. If you don't really need it, that's where you're probably gonna default to then the exempt, then it's structured
Well, they could
probably.
go to the BOA if they wanted one then.
Yeah, and then if the BOA looks at it and says, well, we have option 1 retaining wall, option 2, 3, 4 is these, they're probably gonna say that's not much of a hardship if you have 3 other options to make this project,
Work.
the exempt structure work.
But we have to have something in there that says, okay, here's what you can do. If you need walls, that's what you have to go through. I mean, I think we have to get the process out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Just a question, Chair.
Yeah.
We talk about boathouses and wing walls. Is it considered one structure if it's poured within this, the wing walls are poured within the structure?
But you only have 14 feet.
Right.
So if they were inside of that, you'd have a 2-foot opening. You couldn't
Yeah,
quite get your canoe in.
Get your kayak in there, so.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just.
So if it's 14-foot max.
Yeah, I see your point there, yeah.
I mean, the 14-foot we're kind of stuck with. And that's in that 35-foot viewing quarter and, all them other numbers come up.
Yeah, so I think your comment on having something in the ordinance that states if you can't do it, you need to go to the BOA. I think that's already in, that is explained in the BOA. When you need relief from this ordinance, which covers the whole, ordinance,
Explain.
not just.
But we should have like an example or something then so that we can at least say, okay, if that's, because here's what the DNR definition of a retaining wall is. If you need that, you need a drawing, of course, or an engineered drawing if it's over certain slopes or mitigation for it, whatever. Because they still have to mitigate the water coming off the roof of a boathouse, do they not?
I think that's a condition on our.
That's a condition on it. Okay, so if they did a retaining wall, they could put a rain garden behind it, do whatever. But like you said, if you can't do it without a retaining wall, you'd have to go to the BOA and show that that's the only way it could fit. And they would have to have that drawing or whatever to show.
Yeah, I just don't know how we would put that in this ordinance. Say if you need a retaining wall, then you have to go to, I guess I'm not sure that needs to be explained in there. I mean, I think it can be, but it just seems like,
It doesn't have to be in the ordinance. It's in there, but it isn't plain English.
so you want language that states if you need a retaining wall within 75 feet, you have to go to the Board of.
I think if that's it, the DNR is holding us to that. I think that's what we're gonna have to do. I don't know how else to get around it. Because I mean, we can't make up a new definition. I mean, we already tried that and that didn't work. Did they take us to court, Joe, on that one on Deer Lake and that didn't work? Just a simple yes.
No comment.
Okay,
Well, we did.
all right.
Still pending. I'm not gonna talk.
It's still pending. That's easier.
Hmm.
So what does everybody think on that then? How, I mean, but we want to get it in there somehow or what?
So,
How do we get it in
Can't
there?
have gray area.
Well,
So
that's how we have to get
however
it.
you need to, whatever you need to add to eliminate that, because that's where we're sitting.
That's
Everyone's interpretation.
of a retaining wall.
Mhm.
But we,
But I'm agreeing with everything. It's when the people are standing up here, the contractor standing up here, we go, well, we don't know.
yeah, we got to be able to say, here's what
There's
you have to
gotta
do.
be something definitive.
so
Yeah,
Gotta be. I mean, we have to come up with something in words, in a paragraph or, I
right.
don't know how, but I'm just saying,
So
when they come into Logan's office, he's gotta have a
it's
definition.
got to have a definition for, yeah. Or not a definition, but a place to find where it says,
Yeah,
it's
see.
okay, it's an accessory structure.
What is that?
It's not exempt.
Yeah.
So if you need that, you have to go to the BOA. You have to have the drawing show it that that's what you need. I mean, we got to simplify it and just say that's the way it is or something. And I don't know how else we're going to get around it.
Just like to go back to boathouses, they told us that the stairway is an accessory structure and you can't have it.
Yeah,
But you can have a walkway to the whole lake, but not to
Yeah,
the boathouse.
But not that you can't get up on there.
Yeah,
The ones that are built into the hill, then you can, but when it's on a flat ground.
yeah,
it's an accessory structure.
yeah, the stairways, yeah,
So,
and yeah. And like
that's.
Sharon said, they make up these rules that don't make sense.
No,
and aren't you only allowed so many accessory structures too on a lot?
Two.
Two. So if you have stairway and a walkway,
First,
you're out of luck.
accessory buildings, 2 accessory
accessory
buildings.
Yeah,
buildings.
two
It's a building.
You can have as many accessory structures as you want.
Okay, so there isn't, so it is a building.
Oh,
An overlap there.
It overlaps. Don't get into another one. Oh my God.
So
It is terrible that way. What
is
do you
there,
think, Pam?
is
What do
there
you-
room under, so I'm in the clean version, under the exempt structures, dry boathouses, we match the model ordinance for A, B, and C. We have additional D, additional requirements for new boathouses. D8,
What page are you on?
so I'm on page 32 of the clean version.
Let's all get on the same. They came today.
Is it in today?
Yeah. It's went back.
He just handed it out to us today.
Yeah.
Least, because I'm running off the December one, so forgive me, but I'm
Oh.
pretty sure it's 32 of the clean version, 31.
Yep.
This is 32 of the claim.
Yes, so 32 of the clean version, so D8
It would be put in there. What's
says boathouses excavated into an existing slope of more than 20% require a credentialed professional design plan with permit application. An erosion control plan must also be completed as part of this application for all boathouses regardless of slope. Land and Water may assist the review of the design plan and may require additional permitting based on the stormwater and erosion control ordinance. Does this not give some room that as part of an erosion control plan, you must have some sort of retaining wall, rock, I don't care what it is, pink flamingos that are holding back our soil? Does this give us some room?
I mean, to use this as that, I would say no, because once you throw that retaining wall in there, that's where that's gonna be defined as an accessory structure somewhere else.
So what are they using then on greater than a 20% slope to do it for the erosion control plan?
If you're gonna turn the rest of it to its natural grade and use control blankets and everything to establish the vegetation back onto it and leave it as, natural soil, that's where that is also an erosion control plan. So I think that's where maybe it's confusion that an erosion control plan is a retaining wall, but it's.
No, I'm just saying it can be used as, obviously, anytime you could use a retaining wall as part of an erosion control plan, just like you could use a berm as part of an erosion control plan. I mean, anytime you're controlling erosion, you can use lots of different methods to try to do it. I'm just trying to find some
so where it says,
common ground here.
where it says additional, may require additional permitting. So that's where you would put, if retaining walls are used, that's where you need the additional permitting.
Yeah, so that's where they would
So
try to get.
could we get it
So do we have some room here?
to add it there?
Well, we wouldn't be able to issue a retaining wall under this, no, because the retaining wall's defined as an accessory structure, not as exempt in an erosion control plan. You can put language in there that says retaining walls are a erosion control plan that are exempt. I just think there's 100% chance that it's probably not going to be approved, but you can put it in there for sure.
Well, I'm saying.
I mean, because
No,
we've
but
got,
it
this
requires an-
whole language D has been added on top of the model ordinance, because model ordinance just says ABC as far as for the boathouses. We added this whole language D.
Correct. And when she reviews it, she's gonna, if something contradicts the model ordinance, which
Right,
this
yeah.
will, she's likely gonna strike it, is what I'm trying to explain. I
Yeah,
guess.
no, and
You
I'm
think
following,
you
I'm not
think
trying to be
she'll strike all of
argumentative,
D?
so don't.
Nope, not all of D, because a lot of it doesn't
Just if we
contradict
put-
the model ordinance. But if you say a retaining wall can be within 75 feet, that's
She-
gonna be a red flag that the model ordinance says it can't be.
But at the same token, it says boathouses shall have mitigation capturing all the runoff from the structure. And that could be,
It could be put there, but I mean, where it says required additional permitting, may require additional permitting. Do we put if retaining walls are used, additional permitting is needed?
Or do we just leave it at less and utilize this when there is that concern? Or when then there's that need? Does this, that's my question. And maybe it's a question for Joe, I don't know, but
But
My
I'm
concern
just saying.
with that is that the contractors want, they just want the understanding of what is allowed.
Right.
So the more we can provide, I think
clear.
the better. But retaining walls are not a part of erosion control plans. They are,
They can be part of a plan, but then they have to be permitted.
but they're considered, yes,
And
structure.
it can't be permitted within 75 feet.
Yes.
They can be permitted.
They cannot.
Where does it say that they can't be permitted?
So they're defined as an accessory structure, which in the model ordinance, it says all structures must meet the setback of 75 feet.
Yeah.
Except, and then there's exceptions. And because the retaining wall is not in the exceptions is why they're not allowed within 75 feet.
Without going through the Board of Adjustment then.
Right.
So they're allowed, but not. They're not allowed unless you go to the Board of
Right.
Adjustment.
The problem lies in, obviously, in our county with the amount of slopes, because all of the flat properties had no problem building boathouses that can
Yeah.
fit the definition. So now, as working through land and water and zoning, now we're at this area where we've got the problem of the need for more erosion control, things around the vulnerable sites. Whereas the DNR might come back and say, well, you know,
Do
those
that.
sites aren't perhaps suitable for a boathouse then, but they're an exempt structure. So that's where staff just really gets in a pickle,
Catch 22.
to put it bluntly.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So do we add a number 11
Sure.
and say if retaining walls are needed, it has to go to the BOA or something? I mean, do we add a line in there that if you need retaining wall on a boathouse, it has to go?
I have so many different thoughts on that. Part of me, you know, I mean,
But we have to, if we
Is that
say
word gonna be a
something
trigger
about
and
it-
they're just gonna say, don't pull it out?
I don't know. There's just a lot of triggers, and trying to find the balance between, you know, finding compliance, you know, versus having to have a community that just does things and that, you know what I mean? Just trying to find all of the balance.
Right,
involved.
write it in there, they know it. I mean, I mean, there's gonna be some of those need retaining walls. Okay, so if you need a retaining wall, it has to go to the Board of Adjustment. I mean, we can, is that not too simple or what?
I mean,
Yeah, no, it can be in there.
I think we should have a number 11
Being in there, it's just kind of,
because we're fighting retaining walls nonstop, all these other
Yep.
public comments. If your boathouse needs retaining walls, you have to go to the BOA. I mean, isn't that that's how it ends up, no matter what we
pretty
do?
much what the DNR says, yes.
yeah, it's pretty much,
So why don't we put it in there?
if your boathouse needs a reduced setback, yeah, the process.
If it needs a variance at all,
A variance, yeah.
it has to go there. But, and put as an example, if you need retaining walls, you have to go to the BOA.
Just so it's clear that, you know,
Then
that's
then
not
when they
staff
come
putting it in there.
Well, if they come and ask, we say, if it needs a retaining wall,
It's right there in 11.
it's right there in 11.
Right. Somewhere I think we just need to, like I said, be able to provide some direction
And support,
and support.
that's where I'm at with.
Yep.
so-
Yeah,
And
So they would have to have the drawing, the plans, like it says, capture the runoff, do everything. If it needs a retaining wall, it goes to the BOA.
Yeah, so when someone's reading the ordinance, they'll be able to
See
have
that,
in their mind that there's gonna be a retaining wall from their boathouse. They'll hit number 11 and it'll say, oh, okay, I have another step to do if
I
I.
got another step to do, don't you
Right.
think?
right, something.
And it's not gonna hurt, like I said, it's not gonna hurt anything
Just-
to be in there. It's
So
just
word it the right way. I'm
clarification.
trying to fight with it.
Right.
Yeah,
But that would,
most about it during a public hearing, which I would fully expect. So.
yeah,
So this is why we're trying to at least give something to respond to in the public
to,
hearing.
to respond to the, yeah.
To
Yeah,
that,
we
need. There's
gotta
a need.
respond somehow.
So let's respond, right?
So let's respond and say, okay, that's the way our ordinance is written, the way the DNR
and what
wants it.
kind of guidance and training do people that sit on BOA get when they're making these decisions? Because they change over time, the people change, just like the boards change or whatever. But do they get some kind of, because they're not like all experts on,
There's classes I've been to at 3
We're not
times.
gonna worry about that now. Shh, no.
There is BOA training, you know, and there's Board of Adjustment.
There's a
training
zoning handbook.
And a zoning handbook
That you-
that they abide by, but
Yeah, and that's where it turns, the BOA is more of them hearing all of the evidence and making a decision if it meets a hardship or the 3 criteria.
3 guys.
It's not them having to know exactly the expertise behind a retaining wall.
yeah,
That's where the applicant's gonna bring in their expert and say, this is why we need it. Zoning staff, land and water is gonna come in and be like, yeah, maybe they do need it, or, hey, this is another option. And then it's up to the BOA to say,
yeah.
do they
just-
absolutely need it or don't? they?
Yeah.
And that's the process. So they don't have to be experts by any means, but they do get training on what they're supposed to be reviewing. They're not, there's certain things they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, I've had the BOA training at the town level. And they're supposed to be supporting the building inspector and
The codes,
The
they're
codes,
supposed to,
yeah,
try to-
the codes.
and why you need that variance.
Yeah.
Where this would make sense because it would mitigate the runoff and it would go back to the intent and purpose of the shoreline ordinance.
Yeah.
Is why we have to do something. And that's where the mitigation comes in. That's where the bigger houses, they put rain gardens in now and stuff. And we put that in our ordinance. That is in it. So I mean, there is things like that. But I think we should add a number 11 and try, or word it. What do you think, Joe? Would that make sense to add? To give them direction where to go if it happens?
You certainly can. like Logan said, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's making sure that the language is clear, that it isn't granting any kind of exception and isn't saying that you don't have to do that to get other variances. So it's just making sure
Yeah.
making sure the language is tight. If you're gonna add the language, I personally don't think you have to, but if you want to add that direction to people who are looking at the ordinance, you certainly can. Again, it's not gonna change anything practically. It's just granting direction on what to do if you want to get this accomplished. And I think we can probably come up with language that
That fits that.
Right.
I just think that's because everybody thinks it's a gray area because they got to read too much to find that.
because again, it's not gonna change.
Doesn't
what
change
you're saying.
anything.
Doesn't
It-
change
no,
anything.
no.
Doesn't change.
All
But
of
it
the
does provide
requirements will be
direction.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
All of the setbacks are the same, all of the, everything that you would otherwise need to do. It's just giving some direction
Yeah.
on
Okay.
what to do.
And it's addressing concerns.
Yeah,
like-
that,
We pounded through this and then, during the public hearing, we pounded through this. This is how we're addressing this concern because this is what we believe is what we've been told and following the model ordinance and to still stay in compliance as a county.
Yeah,
We're providing direction.
yeah, I think so.
Survive the DNR once they.
We have no idea.
I
But
don't-
you know what?
I don't think we
Logan
would-
survived the DNR so far. So
I don't,
He's still upright.
I think giving direction, the DNR should say, hey, you came up with something that actually might work because you told somebody where they got to go.
Well, that's
without
our,
reading
that's
the
our
whole
way
thing.
of thinking, but.
Yeah, I mean, from. oh,
You know, otherwise you got to read the whole ordinance to figure that out.
Yeah,
We're here, you go, I want to do a boathouse. I don't want to do the other 50 pages. I just want to do the boathouse. And it says, okay, I might need that's what I got to do.
Yeah, so just off the cuff here, I just wrote, if a retaining wall is needed as part of, which we could either say if a retaining wall is needed in conjunction with a boathouse, or if a retaining wall is needed as part of an erosion control plan, a variance will be required.
Okay,
That's kind of the clarification you're looking for.
a variance from
Through
the
the
Board of
BOA.
Review. I would call out Board of Review so they know. Board of Adjustment, I mean.
well, a variance has to go there. We
Yeah.
know that up front, so it's kind of the same.
Yeah,
It has to go there.
We can figure out the language.
Yeah,
yeah.
Figure out the language.
okay.
Well, we got
I
two.
think we got through one definition. But that's been the biggest one.
It's
That's,
been a big stag.
Yeah,
and I think that's,
Well, and the fact that
we
DNR
can
can
change anything.
Yeah, the DNR can come in and basically say the way something had been, what we hear the most at staff, and correct me if I'm wrong, Logan, is why could I do it, now or then, and I can't do it now? And there's a lot of finger pointing or perhaps thinking it's administration, and it's if the DNR comes in or the county has now been sued or some of these other things. So trying to combat some of that just logistically and supporting staff
Right.
is the challenge right now. So
Because I can speed,
Things needed to get cleaned up. This is not a vindictive.
we're just trying to have a certified ordinance.
Right. This is not going after anyone. We had things we need to clean up. Done. End of story. Here we are.
well, that's some of the clarification. I mean, for the DNR, we didn't change any of theirs on the model ordinance. So I don't know why they would have to say, if they would say anything about it.
And so everyone's on the same page.
Right.
Everyone's on the same page, get the same information.
Yeah,
Everyone's following the same guidelines that
Yep.
DNR says this.
We can go back forever, but it doesn't matter. Here we are today. This is
Yeah.
where it's at. We have things we needed to clean up. They've been busting their butt trying to clean it up. This is where we're at.
all right. And we get your definition.
Consistency.
Yes.
You can't do one thing and then a month later. This builder comes in and he gets this, the next builder comes in and it's changed already.
Right?
Yep,
But
yep.
when we've had issues within
That's only
what they were
June 1st,
working from,
Or
then.
July 1st, we can do it. Because that's when the state kicks theirs in and tells us we got to change everything. All right. How about the rest of these? I think we're pretty good on the rest of these,
Rest of the definitions.
the definitions. I
But
don't-
you said the bold is directly from the model ordinance and the other ones are just ones we had.
Correct.
We had in there, yes. And if you look, the last one is variance, so it has some of that.
Yeah, but adjustment.
So I mean. It's in there. All right. General provision. Pretty good there, aren't we?
So A and B were both updated exactly as the model ordinance. C was updated, per DNR requirement, that had to deal with the shoreland height restrictions.
Setbacks.
That language got clarified, just the shoreline requires it within 75 feet. Greater than that, distance, then it falls under our either shoreline ordinance or it's not under the model. It's either under our comprehensive zoning districts if we have a specific height restriction. So I mean, that's where like some of our farm districts have a little bit higher for certain things. So it was just her clarifying or recommending the clarification, so that it aligns with the model ordinance stating that the model saying we are only enforcing within 75 feet. Once you get beyond that, it's the county, height restriction is what then is in play.
So-
But we've kept it consistent, but
So on that 42,213, is that what you're talking?
42, 213.
Well, we had through D, but the new one shows through K. No, through O.
Oh,
So all that was added from D on. Is that from the model ordinance?
No, that's what we, remember the accessory structures?
That's when we
Brad
had
was here. We added, you could do 4 along a river. So F. We added that. You know, no more than 2 accessories. We did
Okay,
some of that. That's all was added back then, the farm animal stuff. That was all the last time.
but that,
The bunkhouse stuff was all the last rewrite.
but that wasn't on the old, I don't have to show it on the old one.
Accessories, buildings.
You know, on 42,213 on the one from last month on page 5, it only goes through D. The one that we have now for 42,
okay, so
213 goes.
part of it is that the old 213 was shoreland district and zoning boundaries.
Yeah.
And this is
different
general
now.
provisions.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
As we added
all-
definitions, we had to,
else.
Yeah.
there, yeah.
So I can't look at this one and compare this.
Yeah. So it's all
Different.
Yeah.
It's been moved.
and the only things that change from each place will be identified, such as the G on the old document, which is also G on the new document, was updated to state that those structures less than 64 square feet don't require a fee, but in the DNR review, they said we can't say they don't require a permit. And then that was the one thing I brought up at last month,
Oh,
is
yeah.
that
Yep.
we want a fee on that or not. Likely probably gonna have to review it if it's for the setback, but we can't say it doesn't need a permit because the state model and language states that in shoreline, they need a permit for it, but we can say there's no fee, but that's up to us.
So it's like 42,213, it's just a totally separate, it's now general provisions, where on the one we had last month, it was shoreline zoning district boundaries.
Yeah, so essentially what happened is it was 42,212 and the old one was general provisions. That got moved to 13 because definitions got added.
Yeah.
On your
Right here.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
page 2 on the old one
Yeah,
is where all
I
that
got
language
it.
is.
yeah.
Most of these are all the ones that we did before.
Yeah,
But those we kind of went through pretty good, code 11, yeah.
So that's where boathouses got removed from that section and put in the exempt structure section, which would
Yep.
a recommendation to have it there. Or maybe not probably it was required, but it makes sense also not to have it off in a general provision when it's an exempt structure. That way it fits right with.
Fits into that. Okay, and then the wetland district, okay, then we don't have much change still, page 15 of 51. Purpose and intent, zoning districts, residential. I mean, I think all these others pretty much stayed the same, didn't they?
Oh,
I mean, there's not a lot added, the shoreline district boundaries.
And she was okay with, didn't she question us on why we have all those reserved? You know, sections 216 to 236 are reserved. Didn't she question us
Yeah,
about
that
that?
mark.
yeah, I don't, and I guess I don't know why either. It must have been how Muni Code set it up to
Okay.
put those in there.
They leave room to add it like your addressing numbers.
Right,
Right
yeah.
out of room, we gotta have a spot to add it.
And so if we go back to page 5 of the older marked up version. oh, that's, C was that the town language that stated towns with their own zoning.
That had to go away. Well, it's edited to.
Except for towns was edited
Yeah.
to include those areas, yeah.
Yep.
And that is under,
I don't know where it's at.
that's where it was changed to just say class one water bodies as identified shall have the first 300 feet back from the ordinary high water mark zoned residential R1 unless approved otherwise. So that's where it was stated that you can't, the towns with their own zoning, we can't exempt them from a specific condition that we're applying everywhere else in the county in the shoreland. So this would say if you have a class 1 lake in an unzoned town, it's gonna be residential around it. If you have a class 1 lake in a town zone town, it's gonna be residential within 300 feet. Once you get beyond 300 feet, if it's in a town zone, it's gonna go strictly to them and their town zoning. Otherwise, if it's, trying to think of where it's going with that.
Is it 300 or 1,000?
So the shoreline is 1,000, but this provision that
300
we,
is the
the zoning district.
zoning,
yeah.
okay. So there's two numbers there too, all right.
And the main issue from the review was that the except for towns with their own zoning, that we can't accept towns with their own zoning out of shoreland requirements that we're requiring in shoreland and other areas.
Still regulating uses in local
The towns are,
areas.
counties.
So the town has no jurisdictional shoreland ordinance, so that's
Yeah.
where the county's enforcing the shoreland ordinance. The town is enforcing your town ordinance, which they are both enforcing that shoreland area. So you guys have underlying uses, which they also have to follow. The shoreland ordinance is nothing the town can change or enforce. But you're,
It's terrible because that state, I looked that up again too, we don't even have to ask the towns to have their input, which is not right either, I don't think, but the towns have no input to say yes or no on shoreline zoning.
We do.
Is that correct? Or did I wrote it right? Which is, it's kind of bizarre.
cause yeah, that's where they could give input, I would say, as far as
Come to
But-
meetings and stuff.
but the shoreline is supposed to be this countywide shoreline. It's not supposed to say this town wants this town
Yeah.
wants that, and we're gonna protect the lakes more, they're not, it's just, the shoreline is the county ordinance. The town can still enforce underlying uses if they would like through their town ordinance, but they also can't be more restrictive, I don't
Can't be
think,
more
than the
restrictive.
standard.
That's, it's in there. But that is in there, yeah, that they have in some counties push it that hard. So that happened, okay.
So if we go to shoreline wetland district, so that changed, the numbering changed to get kicked down. So that's 42-215 in the clean copy. And then as you'll see in the copy that indicates all the changes, the reference changed because of that number change. There was a lot of, the language was updated for the model ordinance and DNR comment. I think the model has a pretty robust, section on this, so I'm pretty sure we're exactly as the model reads for that whole section now. I don't think there's anything in there. The old ordinance had some little bit of language tweaks in it, but we're required to be the same in that aspect. It's exactly as the model, is, or at least it was intended to be.
So, yeah, with all the same uses and stuff, the permitted uses, that had to follow, if I read that right too, yeah.
Yeah.
So that, okay, so then it did follow it, yep. All right. Then the residential R1 would be next.
Yep, so that was part of the discussion we had. The new version has everything removed from it. That was required to be removed. That was more restrictive than the shoreland ordinance. So such as like under the mining district, we had a 5-acre minimum. The shoreland ordinance is very, specific on the minimum lot size, so we can't have those greater, restrictions in the shoreland ordinance. So that was where the discussion last month was, if we're gonna keep these zoning districts in the shoreland ordinance, they're all updated to be compliant with the shoreland requirements. If you remove them, that's where unzoned towns would then not have a zoning district around in the shoreland areas where they do now. And we'd also have to tweak that class 1 language that states that there's zoning districts on class 1 lakes are R1. If you remove the zoning districts from the shoreline, then it wouldn't make sense to have that because you wouldn't have a zoning district in there.
It'd be unzoned, all right.
So if we want to keep them in here, I think everything's updated to be compliant. Like I said, there wasn't any changes, we didn't move anything from allowed to conditional. Most of them are already under conditional uses. So I mean, I guess now would be the time if there's things that want to be moved up to a permitted use, but I didn't really dig into that too much. I know a lot of those were moved to conditional uses, I think 3 years ago or something, 4 years ago.
Did we still need to address, though, the fact that the landscaped area, that those were an issue? The minimum building lot coverage and minimum landscaped area, wasn't that a potential conflict? Because you still have that, you had it in red last month, we still haven't read this month, and my notes say it was a conflict with the shoreland.
Yeah, did she address that?
But she did.
Can't remember if it was.
I'm on page 25, we got
Of the clean version, yes.
of the maximum lot coverage was 30%, minimum landscape area is 10%.
Yep.
And
And that's on page 25 as well as on page 27. So it's for the two different small business district as well as recreational business district.
setback on the top of that page, double S.
So that's under,
And we added new things to that. It's on both, on top, yeah.
and I think her main question or her main consideration was to make sure that we're not being more restrictive
Right,
than
right.
the model ordinance, which it is unique because the model says the max impervious you can have, whereas in our uses, we're saying we need 10% on these, or we require 10% on a commercial property to be landscape. It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I don't.
It'll fly, let it go. I know we highlighted it last month and she did make comments to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think I've honestly ever used those two sections. I'm sure it's in there for aesthetics. If someone's opening a business, the ordinance has, you have to have at least 10% of it be a landscaped area. But know from there why else it was in there.
Maximum building lot.
And maximum
You
building.
can only cover 30% of your lot with a building.
Yes.
Hmm.
In a business, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, if it's a small lot, that gets pretty good size.
Well, okay, but this is, it's a commercial lot. Aren't you gonna build a building to like house things?
For the lots, this is shoreline, remember, within that three.
Shoreline, yeah.
So most of the lots are only 100-foot line. A lot of them are under an acre.
Okay, all right. Yep.
See what I'm
yep,
saying,
yep,
that one?
all right, yep. Sorry, need to,
So if you go out here in Balsam, you look at the.
yep, I got you
arenas
again.
and
Thank you.
stuff.
Thanks for the clarification, because yep,
Yeah, otherwise, yeah,
I'm thinking just putting a business somewhere and
yeah,
stupid
Walmart,
me, and that's not
Walmart
next
won't
to, that's not within shoreland. Okay.
yeah. Walmart,
it.
Walmart won't fit there.
Yep, you're right. It won't. Thank you. Yep.
Walmart on the water.
Well,
Yeah.
but then she goes on to ask, what does a landscaped area mean?
Yeah, so that's where she wasn't sure. It wasn't like this has to be removed. She's
Yeah.
like, how are you guys using it? Because
Yeah.
if you're using it to be more restrictive, you can't do it.
Can't do it.
You need
Yeah.
to still be following the shoreline
Yeah.
surface
Yeah.
requirements.
So we're saying, here's what the minimum setbacks are. Oh, and by the way, you still need to determine if your building's 30% of the total lot size, right?
Right, if you're building that type of building.
Yeah.
And that's where that one
With
kind
no
of,
setbacks, you end up with 10% landscape pretty much by itself.
Yeah.
that one follows it anyways because the state impervious surface is 30%.
It's 30.
30%, so.
That's the max on those because of mitigation too and stuff, yeah. So it fits the same numbers. If that makes
Thank you.
sense, yeah.
I think we can keep it in there. If it comes back as not approved, I don't think it changes a whole lot either
Sure.
way, so. Without knowing exactly why it was put in there, I didn't want to completely.
Yeah.
Take it out. Yeah, no. We're through.
Original water. I think we have.
So I got one comment, and maybe I'm getting ahead. I'm gonna go to page 33 on the clean version. So it's in the exempt structures piece.
Okay.
That I know she recommended it, but it is just a recommendation. And I just don't, can we strike the language that landings are only allowed within stairways for direct changes needed on this? Can we just strike that?
What page are you on?
So number 5 on the walkway, stairway or rail system,
What page is that on the?
page 33 on the clean version.
Right at the top of the page.
I'm just looking at, it's a recommendation. It's, if we could, I'm just looking at, can we just give some air some places versus saying are only allowed? And it looked like it was added on top of what was currently the model language.
Don't you want number 5 in there?
Last
The
sentence.
last sentence in number 5 about the landings.
Yeah, and that's where we've had some conversations with the DNR when specific projects come in. If you read it literally, go down, landing, go 2 feet, landing, and it can turn into a lot of landings.
Okay.
So that's where, when those have come up, she stated that it's the intent of the ordinance to only, the landings were allowed for changes when you have to go around certain slopes or anything. So that's where, I mean, it has been stretched, yeah, abused a little bit, because that's what it says, you can have 50-foot landings. It doesn't say how many you can have. It's just everywhere you would like one is where, it can be. So that's a little clarification stating
Oh, okay.
landings are only for steep slopes where you have to turn. It's not just, I want one here, there, because then you have a bunch of
Patios.
patios, which aren't allowed within that area. So I mean, that's where it goes down that path, but that was kind of clarification on what those landings are supposed to be used for.
All right, so minimum lot size, we went through that with in our tables.
All right, where are we at?
On page 29, we're
Sorry, I guess I jumped ahead. I'm sorry.
three ahead. So minimum lot size that so that land division review, is that with the new subdivision on G, that jumps into some of that, doesn't it?
Says remove and replace with section 19 from the model ordinance.
With the substandard lots, some of that, but I mean, we have the land division review. 236, does that fit to the subdivision one we just did? That we added? So that would be G, land division review. In a 5-year period, all of the factors, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and we have that also in our,
That's in the subdivision, so that fits.
yeah,
This is what you're saying.
Okay,
and they have,
the same is what I'm shooting
Okay.
for.
in the model ordinance, that's language in the model, so she said
Okay,
should be in here. Before, we kind of had some of our other language, or we referenced our other ordinance,
okay.
that it has to be
Has to
in
be
here.
Here, okay.
This is separate. Subdivision, we enforce subdivision. This, we enforce shoreland. And there is a section that the shoreland specifically,
Yes.
it's that little section.
That list section, okay. All right. Yep, just so it didn't throw a curve in it.
So yeah, if you're on the old version, once you start at 20, or not old, but the marked up version from 24, 25, 26, that's where those got broken out. Rather than being lot requirements, setbacks, minimum shoreline.
All that, okay.
We broke it out to
that.
to make it hopefully easier to understand. So all those tables a lot of those tables were removed,
Updated to model, yep, okay.
added to the model.
So so the old 27 went to this 30. Okay, I see it now. Yep, okay. Get that one. Okay, setbacks, that. All right, so then we jumped. We did number 32. We just went through that one a little bit. Fences. Privacy fences on the old one, okay. Move to 42. Okay, move, buildings. Setbacks, 33, 34.
And one of a fairly large change from her comments would be under regarding reduced road setbacks, stating that the town can, approve a reduced road setback. We have that in our general comprehensive. It's fine there. That's good.
Yep.
She said in the shoreland, that's what the variance process is for. So it was commented on that it can't be in there, stating that this is a setback. You can get a relief from the setback from the town. In the shoreland specifically, she's stating that any relief from the ordinance needs to be through the BOA. So I mean, that would be, we do issue a few of those. So that would be a change.
That would be a big change because we changed all that because the town is the one who takes over that road and has the authority.
So we're not allowing it now?
In the shoreland, it would be, for the comments required action, it would be removed, saying you're essentially allowing a variance without going through the variance process.
Ooh, that would be a fun one.
Mhm.
So then it's gonna fall back to what was set in the ordinance, 63 feet and, what is it, 30?
Well, then it was a private road too. So I mean, because there's a lot of zeros, a lot of 10s, a lot of 20s.
Because those got taken out. It used to be private and town would both
Yep.
go to the town, and then the towns didn't want to deal with the private roads and say you can or can't be
Yeah.
reduced. So then those are 35, need a variance regardless if you want to be closer. But yeah, from staff's recommendation, it's not like I have a strong opinion either way. But I just don't know if it would get well, she said it wouldn't be approved, but I guess I don't know where you go from there.
So going forward now, it's not gonna be a town's decision.
In the shoreland area, if you want to build closer than the setbacks that are in the shoreland ordinance, you would need to go to the BOA rather than go to the town to get approval for that.
It's good to know.
I'm assuming that's one of those that was always going to the BOA and getting approved if it was approved by the town initially. So they tried to make it an administrative rule. But
That's what we did.
as in some, I mean, that's what I'm assuming,
Yeah.
but as in some things, the DNR now comes in and says, you are granting a variance and offering relief without going through proper process. But
So they're
we
pulling,
could try to keep it and
that the towns have no
Authority.
authority within that town.
Shoreline.
That's what
I
they're
just want
saying.
to make sure, because I've had a lot of this go on in the
I know.
last,
Yeah,
I know,
6 months.
yeah.
we have,
That
yeah,
we're issuing the reduced setback for the owner builder,
yep.
and now we're
Now you
almost getting
can't-
spanked for it.
Well, yeah,
So-
as of right now, it's still in.
No.
Well, I'm just saying, we gotta get ahead of this because it's
I don't know,
running wild in our
yeah,
neck of the woods.
I mean,
Well,
we may
anything
wanna-
before this,
Schedules too, so that if we're pushing more to the BOA, that those fees need to be adjusted accordingly.
oh, yeah,
So that-
they'll have to be.
Putting burden on the contractor nor the landowner and those things, so.
Undue financial hardship.
Yes.
But now, because we had quite a debate on that back in the day. Because if the town isn't gonna take a private road over, I think Jeff Fugie wrote a deal up that everybody on that road then is that part. So if there's 12 people, you're 1/12, and you have to put it on your deed. And then they can do it almost like a planned unit development or whatever. They can reduce sizes or whatever. Because the town says we'll never take that road over, and it's private.
Yeah.
So then they would redo the reduced setbacks, because I'm on some lake, I mean, there's almost zero setbacks. I mean, you can't get in the garages, hardly. But we did that back then because there were so many coming in that just needed 5 feet, 10 feet. I mean, there was no, why put your garage so tight?
and I,
So now they pull this. I mean, there's nothing we can do then, really, is there?
well, I mean, we stop, obviously the process would still be to get the information from the town. I would imagine that would weigh heavy on the Board of Adjustment. I mean, I would suspect that would be the case, but it's not.
Still go to the town. and
Yeah,
ask.
can't skip over that, from what we're hearing from the DNR is that, you can't offer relief to the ordinance without going through that variance channel.
And that's, I mean, not all of them, but there is a lot that if you're looking for relief from the town road, you're also looking for relief from the lake because you're sandwiched between them. So there may be quite a few that are going anyways for the shoreline, so then this would be wrapped into it, but that's definitely not the case for all of
All
them.
of them.
A lot of existing are just adding that second garage.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
They're adding a second garage to store their stuff. Yeah,
But like like our town doesn't have town roads on the lakes. They're all private. They're all private.
Yeah, but like Tracy, just asking like for factual reasons, do you think it would be easier for the town to just provide input and then have it go to the BOA? Or do you like the process as it is now, where you have final say? A loaded question, we can talk
It is.
offline.
I mean, yeah, it is because, I mean, if they're coming here to get their permit or whatever, for whatever the project is they're doing, to need the reduced setback, it would just be easier for them to do a one-stop shop, basically. I mean,
get it all done there.
exactly.
Yet if they have to go through.
Because
BOA.
now, the way it is they're coming, getting their permit for their project, coming to get the reduced needed setback for the project from the town. The town then turns it into you guys at the zoning, and I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like so nobody really knows. So if we take that gray out of there,
Right, and some town chairmans like literally do not allow them, so they just say no, and then
well,
they go.
and we didn't, I'm just saying. Been a wild card, so, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the other way to look at it is but I mean, there's so many towns that you can't really do it this way, but if everyone's approving reduced setbacks at 50 feet, then you should probably look at your overall setback to start with, because you're requiring 63 feet. If every town's saying, yeah, 50 feet's fine, then that's when you would probably look at it that way. But there's so many case by case bases that you can't.
So could a town theoretically then, say your town, put a 10-foot setback on their roads?
I mean, they can, but
So if they did that and it's in the shoreline, then it would meet it, then it would still meet a setback. Do we have a
if we
setback?
changed our setback to, I mean, that would be within the right of way, but
But we have to do it to all the roads. We can't do it just in shoreline, can we?
Exactly.
If we change the setback from a road in shoreline, we have to change it in the general and everything, don't
I
we?
mean, you wouldn't have to. If you're not in shoreland, you could state that process, and it still states that in there.
So it'd be 63 from center.
And then you could still get relief from the town for a non-shoreland area.
Okay. But I mean, can we put a private road and I suppose not, we can't change all that. Yeah, God.
Because the private road was taken out already,
Yeah.
but the town road is where the change would come in.
Okay,
Chair, can we get a 5-minute recess?
yes,
Thank you.
yes. See what happens when they don't smoke?
St. Croix
All
haven't
right.
done theirs over 10 years.
So what are we on, page 34?
Yeah.
Protection areas, those didn't change. Then we're on conditional use permit, shoreline protection area. That's out of the model, wasn't it, that one? When you added those,
Oh, you're on 35 now?
Yeah.
page 35B. I mean, I think the other ones we went through,
Where's three?
viewing quarters, all that,
What
Yeah.
is this section? How does someone know if it's a permit or a CUP?
shoreline protection
That
area.
was her question.
Yeah.
Yep, so that was an area she highlighted stating, yeah, exactly what you just read. How do you know if it's a conditional use or a allowed use by permit? And again, I've never have had a conditional use permit for a walkway or anything because it's either a variance or it's allowed, one or the other. So I don't know, I know,
Conditional use permit.
and that's where,
What would be a conditional use permit in any of those?
I don't think we have anything.
Construction plans, stairways, 20%, that's all. Those aren't. Roadways aren't. Watercraft launching, construction, no general. Chapter 30 permit, fish, wildlife, activity. The timber we can't do, activity, public lands. So actually, there's nothing that requires a conditional use, so. So this is all by just plain permit.
Yeah, so I think that's where I could rearrange this. So under exempt structures where it talks about walkways, I could put, what explains what a one developed pedestrian access is. I guess I don't know for sure if that's the reason it got broken out, to keep it as the model underneath exempt, and then we further define it outside of the exempt area. You know what I'm saying? Like, underneath on page,
Well, we need, so that's where the landing comes in here on your landing, 5 foot wide.
yes, so on 33, number 5, the on the top of the page. You could try to put all the explanations underneath that number 5 that state, what the access is for and everything. What those powered lifts are for. So I think these are all further explanations of what's already here. And I'm guessing it was for clarity again, for the public to not just read this and say, a walkway or a railway is allowed with the landings, but then you go into further
Elevated.
conditions stating that it has to be constructed to avoid erosion. It has to be the minimum construction necessary. Can be no wider than 5 feet, which is already included in that. I think they could be meshed together.
Is it somewhat of a duplicate?
They may have to. I just don't know how that would work. I mean, as long as none of this language is more restrictive, I don't know why it couldn't go with that section.
Permit to have a-
So that's this, so you're looking at.
Like-
Protection area B should go back and go under this other section.
Like B2 and B3 essentially should be going under number 5 on the new one, under walkway, stairway, or rail system, because that's where it's explaining what is needed for those structures.
Okay,
All right, so
that makes sense on those two. You have to move that 1 and 2 and 3 to go under number 5 as subs or whatever, like 5A and B.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm just saying.
so do you need a permit to actually have a boat lift?
not,
no,
Placement of a pier, wharf, temporary boat shelter, or boat lift shall be confined to waters immediately adjoining, blah, blah, blah. But above that, it says allowed uses by permit.
yeah, so that would be a section that's, we've never issued a permit for a boat lift.
I didn't
And
think
you
so,
don't
but-
need one for a dock either.
Correct, not from us.
That's if you're just taking it from the lake and you're gonna walk it up to land to put it on in your structure up there. I think that's what that
In your boathouse, yeah.
Yeah, in your boathouse, up on
I
land.
mean, like the rail system that they used to have.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm just,
I'm just thinking
What did
outside.
they say?
Are they mixing up a boat lift to a power lift with a long one that goes up?
Yeah, that's what, because that's what Tracy's talking about. It's like more of a power.
Are they
So I
kind
don't
of
know.
like
I
mixing
don't.
what two words? Should
Like you said,
I think
B2,
one of them.
the access should be put back on page 33, like under 5, and go A and B or something under number 5.
Right. The
That would make-
walkway.
Yeah, to do the walkway
Not
stuff.
be on there. Ouch.
And then if we're going 5 feet, we have 60 inches in one place, and then we say 5 feet. We should say 5 feet or 60 inches in both,
Yeah.
instead of going 60 inches in one, 5 feet in another. Let's go to feet or what inches, whatever we want to go here.
Yeah, and that's where I think I could condense that to,
To fit.
there's stuff that's already covered, take it out,
Yeah.
Yep,
get everything meshed into one underneath that 5. So when someone states,
Yep.
you know, just like we have under boathouses,
Yep.
an exempt structure, here's everything you need to know about them.
yep,
We could do that for walkway.
Okay.
Walkway, here's everything you have to adhere to in order to get that permit. And then we could get rid of this section, because again, this section has always been confusing to staff as well, because
yep.
it's like a conditional use permit for
Stuff.
some of this stuff. We've never done that, and I don't know. And I don't know if this happened when, you know, when everything, you know, went to in 2015. Some of this was in there prior and got left in, and that's why it's kind of confusing or not, but.
So a lot of this can be taken out, can't it?
Yeah. I think like you just said, Logan, under 5 on page 33, under
Yeah.
walkway stairway, then you can have a A or a B if you need it to define if any of this needs to even be in there.
The placement of a pier or temporary boards, yeah.
And we're talking about all of it in red underneath,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah.
Allowed uses by permit.
But I don't know how much of that even needs to be in there. We have to,
Well, 2 and 3 could go under the walkways. 1 could kind of just go away.
go away, yeah.
4 is state erosion control measures. That's already, roadways are already exempt. Private watercraft launching sites. We don't have that anywhere else, so do we? So that might fit for a permit. That would be number 6.
Permit though,
So you would make that one underneath me?
But make that one, yeah,
you'd make it you have to have a permit to be able to like,
constructs a launch site. It's constructed. So if you're gonna build a launch site into the water, yeah, you'd have to have a permit.
okay,
The DNR would probably require that.
Yeah, it'd be a chapter 30 permit as well.
Chapter 31. And then commercial timber is exempt, so that number 8 comes out. If it's exempt. In agriculture, cultivation is allowed exempt from the provision, so that's exempt. So all that would be under it, it would be the private watercraft construction.
Underneath, and it would be a B1.
mhm,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it kind of like in the other areas where you're clarifying, it may be beneficial to keep that stuff in there stating it's exempt, so somebody knows it is.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not just take it out, because then you're,
I take, yeah, I know what you're, yep, yeah, to show that it's exempt. So the only thing that is the construction of a launch site is the only permitted thing, isn't it?
because yeah, a lot of these things that state, you know, that where the title states allowed uses by permit or conditional permit, most of the stuff in here says it's exempt from a permit, so it
Yeah.
shouldn't be under a permit, the permit section anyways. I'll try to see where the things fit in best, and if that sounds good to
Okay.
you guys, I'll
Okay.
try to incorporate them in
Sure.
in areas where I feel like they fit.
Where they fit, yep.
Or if I do some research and think some of it doesn't need to be in there at all because it's covered somewhere else, I can notify that too, so.
Perfect.
Some of this vegetation removed in that is in right above, yeah, the page back, right up above.
So C,
Yeah.
you're saying?
Well, that's 4, remove vegetation, exotic and species, and then it's got removal here, vegetation
Yeah.
removal. I mean, some of it is repetitious,
Right.
quite a bit,
Yeah.
so.
And that's what makes me think it may have been a carryover section that just kind of got
Left in,
held on to, yeah.
because then you have a whole other section, see about it, yeah. And that's where we added the different, that was from some deals on Cedar Lake, where we added some of these options on here for different ways of cutting trees and stuff. Yes,
As long as you're at that chart. This came up in that public comment, just looking for an answer. It's here, between 2 inches in size. But, is that what you call it?
2-inch diameter,
Yeah, diameter.
breast
Yeah.
high. So I think
So
when,
why couldn't it be 1.5? I just, where did 2 come from? That's,
oh, I have,
Yeah, that's been in there. I guess I don't know when it was put in there, why they decided on 2, but that's been existing in there. And
That's been
where the
there.
comment was,
yeah,
you know, with tree size, you're buying time. The only comment I would have on that is, well, if someone cut vegetation and they weren't supposed to, you're kind of trying to get the time back. But I also understand you got a 500-pound root ball and someone can't just go replant that. So, I mean, it's, if
make a
someone's,
bigger mess doing it than when you cut it, yeah.
if the vegetation removal penalty isn't, again, I don't think the 1.5 to 2 is a huge deal, but
Cedar Lake.
I don't think the vegetation removal penalty should be too lax, because then you're gonna have cutting without, or removal of vegetation where you don't want it if the replant penalty isn't somewhat
And
substantial.
most of it going with the different options. Remember, we did some options finally,
yeah.
because the one on Cedar Lake, the township could have cut it, but the guy did himself, so he got in trouble.
Yeah, 1.5 to 2. I mean, I guess I'm not huge into trees, but I don't,
Well, we'll have to ask our forest
and yeah, what's the difference?
guy,
Yeah,
you know. Do we get Kirsten out there? He's 6'6", holy shit,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Kirsten.
I just an option that looked
Yeah.
like we could change that to 1.5 inches. That seems simple.
I agree, Doug.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write it in
Or
there.
just
you
make
want me to change that?
it smaller and
Consensus to change it to 1.5 then?
And I think the state took diameter breast high, I think is 60 inches is what it is when I read it somewhere. We'll have to ask the foresters, see if they can remember that. It's a DNR thing. Otherwise, at least we did some other options there, because that was sometimes where, when that storm came through and killed all the pine trees and stuff, would have been Middle Pine Lake and some of those that they had a heck of a time. So that they can do that.
Yeah, if trees don't necessarily make the most sense, you can, you know, establish a different native vegetation buffer
Yeah.
along that area.
Yep,
Because sometimes there's areas where there's vegetation removed, there's still trees on the outside that are canopied over that area anyways, so it's like planting trees in there may not be the smartest, you know,
yeah, if they're not deceased or,
station. But if you then plant shade tolerant grasses or whatever to establish some vegetative buffer, then that's where those other options come in.
okay. So
Um,
that, I wrote 1.5. All right. Previous, we have mitigation, that's, some of this was all the newer stuff that we incorporated. From before, this wasn't incorporated. I don't think, she didn't have many comments on that, did she?
on the impervious,
5. Yeah, she's got a few.
Couple.
Sidewalk, section B model, blah, 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 blah. For all roads and sidewalks. 305.
Like 3 of them.
Okay.
I think you've got it back in here,
Yeah,
because that's E,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? Shall be excluded from the impervious surface calculation.
Mhm. Yep, under roadways and sidewalks.
Yeah, so under the impervious surface, everything that's in the model that references that was updated.
Okay.
Treated impervious surfaces is where there was additions to identify exactly what needs to be done to consider that treated. So that's when somebody's looking to go above that 30% threshold of impervious surface. Treated impervious doesn't count. So that's explaining what actually is treated and what stormfall or rainfall event you need to design your treatment to.
That's okay. Then we have the 15 and the 30 there. For maximum and perfect standards. Okay. That 11.6, is that right? Where it says section under on G there? We don't have a section 11.6, do we?
Oh, no, that's still from the
That's from
model.
the old one, isn't it?
That's from the model ordinance. I think it's 11.6 underneath there.
Okay,
So that'll have to change to,
so go back to that
Yeah.
42 something on that.
well, it'll be the,
G.
G.
There,
I think it'll be just reference to F. I think that could maybe just get removed. A lot or parcel may exceed the impervious surface standard if the following,
if the following standards are met.
I'll look at that and make sure that's all referenced right.
Okay, because that could come out and just say if all the following standards are met, couldn't it?
Yep, I think so. I just wanna, because I think it should be somewhat tied up to explaining the treated impervious, but I'll look through that.
Oh, I see, to go backwards. So it'd go back to 40. So it'd go back to C then.
Yeah, I think it goes back to one of those,
Probably C, the impervious calculated by dividing and all that, it might.
because the earlier ones are telling you can't have more than 30%. And then this one's stating you can exceed that actually if you meet,
This criteria.
and actually, I think it is supposed to be just to F. Because if you exceed 15%, if you're below 15%, you don't need, mitigation plan.
Okay, yep.
Impervious surface. If you're greater than that, it explains if you're between 15 and 30. Yeah, I'll tailor that up to
In
make,
this section 42.306, so it just, you should be able to go under, instead of under that section, it should be just if the following are met, so then it would be in the same section. If that looks right. Because then that just refers to everything up above. And to the rain gardens.
I don't have, can I take a look at your model? Because I think it would make more sense to me exactly where that came from. Thank you. This should show exactly where it's referencing.
11.6.
6.
Yeah,
So yeah, the 11.6 is the general impervious surface standard. Where's that in ours?
That's
38.
42.305.
305.
yeah.
37, 38.
See, in the one before that, It just goes back to section C then to the beginning. So this would either refer back or just say if the following are met, it would fall into that whole section, yeah. It would stay within that impervious surface section.
So I think that should be right. If we say a lot or parcel may exceed the impervious surface standard under section F, provided the following standards are met.
Yeah.
That's how it's
Okay.
written in the model. You have a general impervious surface standard. If you're not meeting that, here's where you are going to get your new maximum impervious surface
Yeah.
standard, which then there's conditions underneath there that you follow to determine where you're at for impervious surface.
All right. So just put F in that where it says section.
Yep.
Okay.
It says 11.6. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
F.
Refers to this.
Because the one above it says B and C, so this one is almost, it's right with them. Gotta keep the applicable. B and that. Okay.
So I think that should be good for impervious.
And then the mitigation stuff.
A lot of it was, let's see here.
Mitigation point system.
So the language was updated. The model everywhere that it fit or needed to be in there, such as like the purpose. And then there was some rearranging to get everything to flow through what we already had in there, and then adding that additional point system. If there's property owners that don't want to go through the land use runoff rating process, there is a few options that you could do without an extensive land use runoff rating.
So like under mitigation on page 39, 2C, where it talks about within 2 years of issuance of the related zoning permit, the property owner must complete the mitigation practices, blah, blah, blah. You guys have a process in place that reminds you in 2 years?
Yeah, so our Ascent software, we can install a mitigation check notification, and then we can go in there and type a date, and it'll kick us every check that needs to be done, whether it's compliance, mitigation, everything.
Does it send them a notice too?
No, it doesn't automatically just go right to them. But the public could go into Ascent and see, I believe they can see those activities. I'd have to
You need a password.
100% sure
Can't get in there without a password and stuff, so you, it's on
into the,
a set
but you can view it as a guess, but I don't get into the actual.
very easily.
No.
I guess I'm not a guest anymore. I can't get in there half the time but I got a password.
I understand why you're not a guest.
I'm not a guest, yeah.
But he's got a password, don't worry.
I got a password. So I don't know how I got that. But your new secretary calls when permits are up, mine are. So she reminds me, she does that like 2 months ahead, did she call?
Uh,
I'm working on that. Yeah,
That's nice.
it is.
Yeah,
That's a.
She called-
mitigation.
she goes through, she was going through all the old soil tests and those, all the old, my soil septic permits that are coming up, because some people had to tear down a house, build it, it took them 2 years. And their permits were running out, so she was calling. It's been a month ago, she said she was calling around to catch up on all those. There was a few of us. Because then I can come in and renew it without getting a whole new one,
Right?
so that worked. So they do have something in there.
Very
Sharon,
nice service
that they're
provided
checking,
by-
Yeah,
so,
which is good.
yeah, that's really good.
I need that myself to remind me.
No, it's on my.
Getting that renewal. Okay,
Um,
so that part's pretty good. Then the land disturbance.
yeah, so that was the old filling and grading and ditching.
That was, yes, that was the old.
But again, that's where we pulled in some model language and also meshed some of our existing language in with the new model language. We added, should all be on here.
Here.
20%, 12 to 20, those are all in there.
Yeah, those are the same.
This is the biggest one.
Okay. I think most of that stayed almost the same the way it looked here.
Yeah, there was a little bit of rewording, like you can see on the marked up copy. We reworded C2 underneath there. Where it talked about the excavation plan,
Yep.
everything. And then the language was updated in B as well, just as far as that top. The beginning sentence, none of the criteria was changed, but.
See, and I got this one, but C2, see, I get exempted from this, so I don't have to deal with anything.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
I think we added
it's already covered, okay. So that was,
underneath the filling and grading plans, we added location of well and pouts. That was during a discussion we had at the meeting. And then we added number 13, because that was straight from the model, I believe.
yep. So those were added, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that's, they all. Okay, now non-conforming. That got renumbered, didn't it?
Yeah, so we took that out from the marked up copy and pretty much copy and pasted, or I think it is exactly the model ordinance, which is nice. Before it was kind of spread out throughout the ordinance, and now it's, if you know your use or structure is non-conforming, you just have to read this section rather than trying to find it throughout it.
Off-street parking was mixed around too a little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we just had to change the numbering on those because everything got bumped down after adding a couple sections.
Manufactured homes, she said something about a definition, but there's state definitions for them. I don't think we can change those. Mobile homes prohibited, she had, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she had a question on some of this language. Some of it says they're prohibited, others stuff makes it seem like they're allowed. I think when I read it, I don't know, the way we're using it, I didn't think it was how she read it, but I don't know if you guys have any opinion on that.
that's from seven.
Run into it a whole lot, but.
No, but I think when I read that, I don't know why she had that kind of in there, but consult corporation counsel.
I was just reading that. It says very fine, very fine.
But that was,
Consult county.
you can't accept, that goes way back to 1978. It's when they changed all that. You remember that?
Do I remember 1978?
When they gave us all that?
He wants to answer that question.
Sure.
Okay. So that's when they said you can't discriminate against trailers and manufactured homes. You don't have that reference?
Is it hot in here, Joe?
I will have to research that topic. That's the answer I'll get.
Because I wasn't
might
born
have.
yet.
I didn't bring my other briefcase. I think I have it in there.
Kim, do you remember it? You probably got it in your briefcase somewhere.
I know, because that was a mess in Farmington, because you had to have 90 acres to build with the trailer.
You had to have 90 acres?
Because otherwise, tax wise, they didn't. So that was a fight for a while in 78. Yep.
Yeah. Really?
That's how much fun I had doing this stuff, see, 78.
I don't remember 78. It was a bad year.
That's when they changed it.
She must have had a kid that year.
That was, I even know the Bill Merle Keppel and Feebrick Homes, all them had those because they considered Wausau Homes a mobile home.
Oh, yeah, they did then.
Yeah, so that was the fight
Yeah,
because they came on a semi, so it's a mobile home.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was on a foundation and built.
I don't think that's on the agenda.
Yes, it is manufactured home. We already had it.
We're hungry. You're what? Hungry.
Travel trailers and that, we didn't change that either. did we?
No.
Okay. And that's pretty much stayed the same. Sanitary regulations, that's a state 383.
Yeah, we added 42, 312. We had a little blurb on it before. model, it has its own section, so I think, I don't know if she required it or recommended it, but it doesn't. It's just, it's in there, it's didn't change anything, but to align more with the model ordinance. And I think the last part is the administrative provisions. There was some crossouts and additions based on the comments received. I don't think anything was major.
Regular inspections.
So the only thing that she had was hear and decide on variances. So is that where we would talk about the variances for what BOA can do versus the town, or no? Is that not this?
We can't do anything.
I know, but
That's what they,
I know.
so it's all.
That's a gold rule. I'm cool with that.
So
That's under the BOA, yeah, right? That's under the BOA duties here in,
Yep.
yeah. So that's where it states the Board of Adjustments duties is to hear and decide appeals, may authorize upon application variances. So I think that's where it kind of tied into, she was interpreting that other section that stated you can get essentially a reduced road setback variance from the town is not allowed in there because there's a section that the BOA hears and that would fall underneath that.
I mean, I just think it's very sticky on the town's part to be giving a variance on a lake for lots of reasons.
Setbacks to roads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just is not a cool,
Well, now it's-
we're not versed in all of the shoreline, ins and can'ts for one thing. I think it's wrong.
Well, and the due process is in place so that obviously if you know one of the people in your area, they can't just continue just to go one person. They have to go to the board to get that relief from the, I mean, the process is in place for.
I mean, I think that if it is strictly the BOA that does grant the variance for these, I think the town has to be informed of it,
Yeah, or they can weigh in.
you know, yeah,
Yeah,
but not, I mean, it shouldn't be no, not on a lake.
you should have your own BOA if you're doing variances.
No.
If you have your own zoning.
Towns that have their own zoning.
Towns that have their own zoning have their own BOA, so they would have to, yeah. Okay. So with that, should, maybe we want to do the public hearing on both. Is that what we're looking at today? To move the subdivision one? Is that where we're at? Let me look at our up-to-date first there. Yeah,
Your scheduled meeting in February would be February, the first, February 4th.
4th of February.
is it gonna be a busy one?
Now let's look at the,
So we have our top guy coming back. We have the forestry coming back. We have any public hearings.
I'm looking.
I mean, other public hearings. So
Not as of now.
none of this is now.
NORTAC update.
NORTAC, crop damage report.
NORTAC is just an update. Do we even get NORTAC anymore? Does that go parks and stuff?
Go over to parks.
That goes over to parks, so that isn't with us.
Go over
I mean, we can get an update, but it goes with you guys for parks. That's, is Johnson still on that? Okay. He goes for those.
I wonder why we don't see him
Okay.
He
here.
gives her.
He gives you.
I mean, are we gonna get through tourist rooming house compliance today and or are we gonna have to move that to next month?
That's pretty quick.
That's just kind of a quick discussion and update today, but first of all, does the committee settle in then on February 4th for a public hearing date for those two ordinances? So we can take care of the class 2 notice and start.
Don't you think we're ready?
Okay. Okay. Before I'm on, let's do it.
Okay, let's set, yeah, that'll be that. And then let's keep whatever we don't need on that one, I guess. I don't think they'll be too bad. I mean, it took us 2 hours to go through it. It'll only take 2 hours to do the public hearing.
You're a dreamer.
Yeah.
Pack a lunch that day.
All right. Tourist rooming house, we have that, you gave us that. I just seen it. There it is.
I didn't get.
Yeah,
I think you
we
got
all
that
got
from
one
the
of
office.
these
Oh, last time.
That's last
Oh,
time.
you're giving us
We have
another
we
one
should have
that
an
you added
updated
some of
one
this.
versus what we
Okay.
discussed last meeting.
Yep, so this is everything we updated on the application for our,
So I got one. See
you
what
guys
I
can take a look and see if that's kind of what you were thinking to make everything more clear.
Thanks, Logan.
Sir.
Did Shabana get one? I can give her one.
Here's what you better read. Get one for Mr. Hall. He's trying to help us rewrite this.
Yeah.
All right.
One, Jeremy? Well, you guys can follow.
Yeah, it should be in there.
So these are all our updates that we
Yeah, so the
had asked for last.
highlighted, the only one that wasn't asked for, I guess, was the public health. We had been in discussions with them. We had one instance where somebody, forget which way it was, but they went through one of the processes for the license or the permit, and they ended up not being able to get the license or the permit. So we had some discussions, so we felt like it's probably good to put something on here that they check with them before they go through that or come through our process, to know that once they're done here or there, they can proceed to the other office with
Sure.
that. Not, hey, I just went through all these hoops. Oh, no, you can't do it. It's like, oh, did a survey and everything on this list and now you.
So you can't.
Just to try to help the public out as far as knowing what all they need on that. The 24-hour contract, we put it up in the upper right there. I mean, it could be moved right underneath the section that states you need the 24-hour contact number. But I mean, it kind of does jump out on the front of the page there, I feel like. So maybe it's good there, but I don't know what your thoughts are on that. And then before they signed the first page and the conditions were on the second page. So now I have read, or the statement stating you've read all the conditions and that you may lead to, or if you have a violation, it may lead to revocation of this permit if these conditions aren't followed. There's a checkbox or initials there, and initials that you declare this application is accurate, and that's what's on all of our permits. And then they would sign below. Administratively, we would fill out how many people they're allowed based on their sanitary, the date they need to renew by, and then that would be everything on that.
Okay.
I think that covered everything we requested, but let me know if there's enough.
Start date.
Right.
Oh, yep.
I have start date and a revoked timeline, which would be under whatever, but the start date would be. Is that it? What else did we ask?
Well, the revoke language, yeah.
Yeah, we've got the
3 months.
was it 3 months?
Have that, that's in, okay, but we didn't, I just see there's a start date. Okay.
But we don't, there is a start date? I don't see.
I don't see it on the note. no.
No, we need that.
We can tie that in with when we're talking about the software maybe next time. Just make sure we.
Just get that, that was the three things I think that we had the biggest questions on, wasn't it? Start date?
I don't see it here.
No, it is not.
Nope, it's not.
They missed it, so they gotta put that in there.
Got it.
Okay, 24-hour contact number and revoke timelines, okay. Go ahead.
Logan, just coincidental that it actually happened 2 days ago, but I've had several questions on, I guess it's because of Ward Lake, and they're saying that is this transferable from the last owner to the new owner?
I don't think, there's some conditional uses that were issued back when it was a conditional use that state that it's non-transferable. I don't think there's any conditions in here that state it's not.
So
I thought-
it is or it isn't?
I thought once it was deemed an Airbnb, it was an Airbnb to the next person that owned it too. That's what I was told at one point when I had one.
It says here, applicant must obtain all proper licensing, including annual land use permit renewal. So
If
that
the
would be
name
the owners.
changes, the name changes.
That's what I'm asking. They think that it's been transferred on a couple of them.
And we look into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you could change some of those conditions to state that it's not transferable. But right now, I would say if someone came in and got one and the next property owner came in to renew that within the time frame, I think we would renew it without, I don't think there's anything in the ordinance that says that they're not transferable. It's just like if we would treat it like a land use permit. If someone came in for a land use permit to build their garage, I mean, say they sold it in the middle of building it, we wouldn't have the new owner come and get another permit to finish the garage.
But then they'll have to fill this out when
Right.
they're,
Every renewal, yep, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's when we would be in contact with the owner at that time because we have a yearly or annual renewal.
But if it changes hands, would that not change the contact person and phone
Yes.
number?
Yeah, they would have to fill this out.
They
Yeah.
would need to,
that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking that we would need to, it cannot be transferable. I mean, at least in that piece, I mean, I
Yeah, as far as,
don't know. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, it doesn't still meet other criteria, but you would want it updated if it changed hands.
yeah, I mean,
And we'd also want the updated person that's read the conditions and,
yeah, so you may want to change, I don't think we could do that on the application, but I think you want to have that in the actual ordinance somewhere that states,
The sale.
any transfer of property, you have to come in for a whole new
Yeah.
permit again.
Yep.
Cause it will change the 24-hour contact number and
Yeah,
Changes
changes
everything.
a lot of things.
Changes. The start date, everything will change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we have the software to help us manage that in the future, but
Yeah.
I did have that on here.
Okay.
Simple login.
so should I put that in part of, cause this would be in the shoreland ordinance, so we'll need to put that somewhere in there before the public hearing.
why not?
Yeah.
Do it now. Don't amend it again. Let's get it over.
I'm called anxiety. I got that. Fine.
But then if it's in there, it's, yeah.
It wasn't clear before. So it's in there.
Yeah. It should, yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, if someone sells their place in June, if now the neighbors are trying to contact that 24-hour contact,
Yeah.
they have nothing to do with the property. And-
Right.
Yep.
All right, I'll put that in there. And then I did look, so there is a pretty, seems like they do a lot of Airbnb, short-term rental compliance. It's called Granicus is the website or application. I contacted them. They need to contact me back to set up a time to meet. So I'll have more logistics of it. But if you guys want, you could always, look online and just see what it looks like. But it definitely is, it looks like it's built exactly for this. And it sounds like they have, back to Sharon's point of sending out mitigation checks automatically. It sounds like this platform, like if there's an infraction, it automatically knows and it'll generate and go from there. But I haven't had the tour yet, but that's what I've read so far, is that a lot of it's covered on their end. How much it costs, I don't know, but I'll
Okay.
find that out.
That could save a lot of time.
Yeah.
That way, yeah.
That's the one other counties I believe are utilizing, right? Granicus
I think so. I mean, when I searched, that seemed like the main,
The main one.
statewide.
Okay. Statewide, oh, even better. Okay. All right. We got that. Administrators update. Are we to there?
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Just a couple of things. December sales tax was up 12% from last year, so we did hit our budgetary number.
That was nice.
within 3%. So that was nice to see. The federal government changed their micro purchasing threshold from 10,000 to 15,000. So we'll be updating the financial policy through general government to make that minimal purchase amount when we audit and stuff. Just for awareness, the 3-year MOU with the Fair Society, thank you, is up this year. That's the last year of that MOU, so that'll be opened up in negotiations with that. So if you have big changes or anything, we'll be tackling that this year. The RFP for healthcare benefits for 2027, we're working on that right now. Our target date right now for that RFP to go out is February 2nd. So to get all those back in place and by May, so that we're ready to go for 2027. So that process has started. We finished 2025 with 8 fatalities on our highways, which is down from our average of 11. No fatalities. Our goal is 0, but that was 8. And that's all I have right now for an update.
About HR, how's that coming?
Oh,
Or you do that for an update at the full board?
HR as far as
Department, how is it coming?
going well. We have a interim HR director right now that's helping out from a company that's helped us out, solidifying our training and our review process, going through those. Updated handbook will be going out to employees in the next several weeks here. We're working on that for updates. So that department's coming together with the turn of the new year. This last payroll is always our toughest payroll going through because of typically highways working very long hours through the holiday season with different shifts. And then we have the cutoff on the 1st. And with the increase for the wage adjustment for 1.57 to make sure that all are, if there's someone that's getting a stipend for any certain reason, it's rolled back. The 1.5 is put on and that's rolled back in there and then calculated back with the hours. It's always our messiest time roll. So that's going along very well right now. So we have a new HR person that started, Stephanie Louder, that came to us from, it was Coles down near Illinois. She's been rocking it out upstairs and doing very well with that, along with disciplinary and the recruitment process. So
And she's an employee of the county again. 'Cause
she is a county
we had an
employee.
interim, like just for a while, we just kind of had a group overseeing or a consultant or
Yeah.
whatever overseeing, correct?
Right. Now we have
And we're
an,
back to having staff.
yeah, we have staff right now, with the exception of the HR director is interim contracted employee. Get us on board. So.
Okay. The only other thing, they're gonna fix Highway 8 so we can drive up it,
Which part of Highway 8?
coming up the hill at St. Croix Falls.
Yeah, St. Croix Falls is the 5-lane right now.
There's a speed bump every 5 feet.
Is coming apart with
Truck
the
just
freeze thaw.
about went out of sight.
Freeze thaw is really hitting the concrete hard right
Holy
now.
man.
Slow down, drive slower.
I believe that's in replacement for,
And it
I'd have to
tightened up my
check with Josh.
seatbelt to stay in the truck.
down.
I think that project resurface is probably 28 or 30. I'm not quite sure which year that's in there. So
God,
Highway 8 all the way into Minnesota is bad.
it is
Yeah,
terrible.
It's in need of,
the weather we have right now with the freeze thaw cycle
It's the worst in the world.
is the worst timing frame for
Mhm.
potholes.
Mhm.
And that cement doesn't
Say deviations of the.
do very well on that hill.
yeah.
no, it doesn't.
All right. Sarah, what do you have?
I'll keep it brief, Mr. Chair. Our tree sale in the Environmental Services Division, Land and Water Resources went live this weekend. We've already sold out of 2 species. It's first come, first serve. And roughly 16,000 trees and shrubs have already been ordered. So wild success. They are also working on all of the reimbursement requests to recoup our project funding from 2025. So all of those have pretty much been sent in for reimbursement to date in that area. They also launched their new newsletter, and you can subscribe to it. There's a link on the Land and Water Resources website in Environmental Services, and it's just kind of neat. They highlight a few things, obviously tree sale, the stewardship awards that were awarded last meeting, some groundwater monitoring. One thing they're highlighting right now is They have they're helping to promote a exotic pet surrender event that's going to be happening in St. Croix Falls. You can reach out to the Land and Water Resources staff if you want to know more about that event, but it's interesting. Apparently they held one in St. Croix County and it was, they collected quite a few animals and some things of that nature. If you want to know exactly what exotic pet means, again, Land and Water Resources staff can, but it's going to be in St. Croix Falls at the library on February 21st. Might be something to see.
How does that fall into their bubble?
Pardon?
How does that fall into their realm?
It says in cooperation with JNR Aquatic Animal Rescue and the Wild Rivers Conservancy.
Okay.
So, and then Polk County Land and Water Resources Department.
Huh.
Because, there's quite a few exotic fish species and
Oh,
some things.
Snakes and.
So they
Sure.
release those into our lake.
Yeah, some of that.
And all the weird
that's
stuff.
Yeah. Yes. In other news for environmental services, we are actively recruiting for our 3 summer interns at this time. And we already have some applications being received. That's great. It's other exciting news. We have received our last aerial photography batch. We did our quality check. We sent it back to Ayers and Associates. They are doing their final editing and we should have that final product back here soon after the first of the year. So that's good. The bike.
What is it doing?
Well, I'm hoping I was hoping by the day, Kim.
Well, it's been,
so next meeting.
no, it's been like a year put off. They,
Well, there were some,
over a year.
so the quality checks are
Except
done.
soon.
So they are getting, I would imagine we would have it within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
If I think that's safe
Do you
to say.
remember we paid that?
Bike and ped,
We said soon and it's 2 years.
the bike and ped plan is wrapping up. It will go to the Public Safety, Public Works Committee and County Board for approval by March. And
The public
then,
hearing on that. Do you have the date? I didn't
Right
see
now,
a date.
right now, it's tentatively for the February meeting of Public Works.
Well, you're gonna have it during the board meeting.
What's that?
You're gonna have it during their meeting?
During their meeting on, I believe it's February 3rd.
Okay,
Public Safety, Public Works will hold that public hearing and it'll go to County Board then.
okay. I just didn't see it. They just said it was gonna have one and I didn't see it noticed.
Yeah. And then, staff is just working on all of our year-end reporting and things to provide to the committee. Soon. That's it. Happy New Year.
So before we got our public hearing on these two, what else do we have? Forestry's coming back. The crop deal is coming back.
With the 8, he has 8 timber sales that will
Got the
eventually,
timber sales and that, if they're ready. Okay.
and then you will hear from the new wildlife for next.
Well, the crop damage was coming the first meeting in February for our trees and stuff and all that finalized. I think there was only 7, so it won't be too bad. He
Yeah,
said.
it wasn't many.
That was very many.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We can't, we got another line.
What do we have? Is there-
Litigation,
Oh,
which is,
Joe.
he's gone.
Left.
So there must not be any.
I think that
Apparently there's not.
Schieffer's online, but
I would say there probably isn't any. But that's everything right now, what we have for the force, so that meeting won't possibly go past noon.
Well, and you'll be hearing, it'll be a public hearing on the ordinance, that clean version that you've
Yep.
now gone through, right?
Yes. Okay. There's no updates, so we're pretty safe. Did you know of any of them? No, I asked him, I didn't hear, he didn't. The lawyer answered was
Are you
whatever.
ready?
Tell him.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Well, there was a second. Was in favor?
Aye.
Aye.